Welcome to Film Club. Do not watch the first second because I pressed the wrong button, corrected myself, and got it right.
It's cold. Yes, your hands were too cold, I'm sure.
It's cold. I did. That's it. I couldn't scroll down to the other one. But hey, chat. We got a classic today. Freezing hands. Everybody's cold. It is bitter here. It's bitter in the United States as well. It's just bitter everywhere. It is just cold as. So we're going to go to then North Africa, where it's nice and sunny, and have a bit of Casablanca. But hi, guys. How you two been?
Other than freezing, very busy, but enjoying the wheel of film. I hadn't seen this film in a while, and what a treat to see it again.
Jay.
Yeah, doing good. No complaints. Been a bit of a busy week myself, IRL, and a little bit of working on some stuff for the channel, but happy to be once again doing another film club.
Yeah. Jay's got a look, everyone.
Yep, that was part of the work on the channel this week. Brand new logo, so we are debuting it here on Film Club.
Yay! I like it. I do like it.
I do too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's got a neon look with the orange and the purple. It's got a neon look. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, Casablanca. Jay, this is your first time, isn't it?
Yes.
It is. Now, I think I put this on, but I'm sure, Sandy, you would have put it on.
I would have if it weren't already there.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is one of those, it's a classic. That is the easiest way to say it's a classic cinema, mostly because the quotes and the misquoted quotes. Yes, it's like that. Everybody knows the quotes. I can't remember. There is a term for it when people believe it was said a certain way.
It's the Mandela effect.
That's it.
I actually, believe it or not, teach a lecture on this. So in historical research, what are the things we obviously want? The facts. And when people misremember something and then they keep telling the story over and over again, it becomes in their brain the true story. And that was the situation when Nelson Mandela passed away. When Nelson Mandela later passed away, people thought he had already died many, many, many years before, because there had been stories circulating that he had died in jail. And it became, people were researching, why did so many people think he had already passed away when he became president of South Africa after he was released from jail? But all these people thought, and because it was a better story to tell, that he had died in jail. And so it became the Mandela effect. And this is one of the quotes that I use, "Play it, Sam," because people misremember it.
Play it again,
as Rick saying, "Play it again, Sam," when it's actually Ilsa saying, "Play it, Sam." Yeah. And the other one is, "Luke, I am your father." That's not the quote. It's just, "No, I am your father." He doesn't say, "Luke, I am your father." So there's a whole host. So yes, it's called the Mandela effect.
There you go. So yeah, I must say I hadn't seen this. Yeah, it's a classic that is like you can get it everywhere. It's an old classic, of course. I can't. When was it made? Go on.
1942.
1942. So would this be classed as what I thought the last movie would be? This is a propaganda movie, then, isn't it?
This is 100% a propaganda film. And if I could go back just a little bit, so the film, the concept of the film, there was no book to read. There was a play, but the play was unpublished. So in order for me to get that, I would have had to buy it at auction. You can get it on auction for thousands and thousands of dollars because there are only a few copies of the play. Everybody Comes to Rick's. was the name of the play. And so that was around 1940, before the United States had entered the war. So this was a propaganda story aimed at United States audiences, similar to other films we've seen, to try to convince the United States to get off the fence and make up their mind and do, do their thing. This film, while it was being filmed, obviously the United States entered the war after December of 1941. And you'll notice in the film, reference, obviously constant reference to Rick being, hey, he's an American, but he's just here. He hasn't taken a side. And even the French police officer who's, hey, I'm an opportunist, I'm a capitalist, I'm not going to take a side. And the film is aimed at the United States to make them take a side, to make them take the right side.
Yeah. It does make sense when you kind of you see how it plays out. And there's a lot of like about the Free French, but it is also about getting to America as well. There's
Mhm.
phrase and that. So yeah, it's things. So off the bat, Jay, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go because it's things like that. How did you feel? Was this one? Because it's a classic. Did you think it before we go right into the depths of it? Because I think most people have seen it, except for Jay. Did you find it aged? Maybe.
So not in a way that was hurtful to it, or my viewing experience towards it. Obviously, it feels a lot older than most movies I've watched, but in a way that like really captures the fact that it is a timeless classic. Without getting too much into my rating of it, I did enjoy watching it. I thought it didn't to me feel any more dated than last week's movie. In fact, last week's movie somehow almost felt a little bit older while watching it, even though this would have been nearly 20 years prior. I think the other one was 1960. This was 42.
Yep.
So it really didn't feel any more aged or any older than any, black and white that I've seen thus far. And I just feel like for some reason with this movie that seemed to kind of benefit it. Maybe it's because it's already kind of in my head as knowing that it's a timeless classic that everybody loves. So there could be some kind of bias going into that, I'm sure. But no, I thought it worked. I thought it worked really well. I think, going back to our conversation last week about colorizing movies or leaving them black and white, I think this is one that benefits from remaining black and white as it was when it was made.
Yeah, I think how the lighting operator, there's a lot of scenes where they've just got the light completely. It's everything where they want to draw your attention, even if somebody's not even speaking, they draw it by lighting. So the lighting is on their face in a certain thing, and their mood is set by the lighting. I think that is very cleverly done, this movie. And yeah, I think you would lose that if it was done in color. I think with having that that kind of black and really dark, contrast with the black and the kind of browns in it, really not black. I know we call it black and white, but the browns and the blacks, and then that light just streams on their face. I think it's very cleverly done. But
I looked up a few, different criticisms online and, written reviews from the time and here, and every single one commented on the lighting. And every single one, and as we go through talking about the film, we'll comment on different lighting tricks and different lighting elements. But also it commented on, which I didn't realize when I was watching the film, the way that the cameras were used on dollies. This wasn't like you're looking at a scene and you see the scene zoom in. It's not because the camera's zooming in. That they commented that this director, who is, forget his Michael Cortez, and it's Cortez, not Cortez, Cortez, that he had a real thing with the cameras on the dolly tracks, and there were a lot of the tracks around the set of this film, and it was even commented on about how dangerous it was because there were so many of these little mini train tracks, because he was moving the camera constantly to try to create movement and more space in the scenes. All of this film was made on sets. This wasn't a sprawling scene. These were actually small little sets, but he was moving the camera around to give you more, to make it look bigger, to make it look, the crowds look deeper in the, in the bar. So the lighting and the camera work are what I guess if we look at this film as a classic, probably something that I missed and many people miss.
Yeah.
But in the film industry, this is seen as a landmark.
I must say, it wouldn't have noticed it whilst watching. I suppose you're into the story. I wouldn't have, kind of, you get that kind of zoom in, zoom out. But when you say it, you're like, oh yeah, they do flow. It flows. The movie, the camera flows around these, I suppose, sets, like the scenery around it. So that's it. Yeah. But yeah, this is going to the movie. We jump in. This is set in Morocco, French Morocco. So it's the things, but the war has started. But this is, I suppose, it's kind of like it's occupied, but not French occupied, if that makes sense. It's like there is still a bit of minimum freedom by the occupying forces, but not as kind of the freedom the French has. That's it. So, but you get that really kind of straight away. It probably put Casablanca on the map. Most before this, it's a very good a good name for a city, Casablanca. But we get the
which means White House, by the way. It means White House.
It. There you go. I did not know that. There you go. What
is house? Blanca is white.
Yep.
Yeah. Blanca. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There we go. So we get that straight away. We kind of get the what is going on with like this. Well, we get straight away with they want the free. It's all about the free French, isn't it? It's all about the movement of the free French within this movie. There isn't there isn't many more political elements to this. It's who's involved is about freeing the French, even though everybody's American who's the actors like that. It's like that. I'm sure they don't probably have one French person in the whole movie. But apart from that, but you don't.
And a Swede, Ingrid Bergman. We have a Swede.
Yeah. There you go. But there we get straight away kind of what is going on. We kind of get the papers, shows your papers, and then of course straight away into free French, and then of course it moves quite subtly. We get the bustling Moroccan cafes. It's very, again, it's Morocco, but it's very French. There's all like it shows a couple of times the things, and then you get the iconic, I guess in a standard name, kind of Rick's bar. It's
Rick's American Cafe.
Yeah, yeah. You couldn't get more non-French, more non-African. It did make me giggle when I saw it because I forgot it was called Rick's. It's like that. I think that is, yeah, we know when you watch it, but I completely forgot. But I think this again, where we've seen some other war movies, it quickly sets everything in place, even though we've got Rick's coming up. But how they set the all different elements up is, I think, is good. We know it's occupied. We know we got the Moroccan police or forces involved. We've got I suppose the colonial French are still there. And then you've got the German forces, again, the occupying force on top of that. So it very quickly sets everything up in, of course, this French colonial Morocco, I suppose, like that. So it sets every element quite nicely that you know where you are, what's going on. But what is Rick's? Why are we now getting introduced to Rick? So it is good, and of course, yeah, we get, say, the German officers, meeting. Now I forgot the guy on the right's name. In the
the captain.
The captain.
I get his name.
Yeah,
hang on.
But,
got the name.
Yeah, go, you bring up his name. But it shows as well the disdain of the Germans have got to the locals in this.
Captain Renault.
But I like this because he's French, and of course he's meeting the Germans, and then they have the Moroccans there, and he just kind of ignores them like that. You're like, I don't care about you, where that. So they try and introduce themselves, but like they don't care. They just like, yeah, you're pointless to us, you're just a a minor part, but it is your country. It is quite a good little, it instigates all that. We have like, there they go, the little slime ball that we things that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
we see these characters repeated in other films, the
Yeah.
guy who's just gonna again be in it for the money, wherever
Mm.
wherever he can find his opportunity, he's gonna find it.
Mm.
And I noticed in all the crowds, like there are many scenes where the camera is zooming in, I think to show you all the different people. Like, in addition to the Germans and the French, there's Turks, there's Spanish, there's people from all over the world
Mm. Yeah, they do
here.
that quickly. Yeah, when they go into Rick's before you meet the, I
Yeah,
suppose, the main star of the movie.
it's a
But
place
yeah,
for
they show the booth. Yeah, booths.
Mhm.
It's very, this is the happening place, I suppose you want to call that, but it's also it's inclusive. It doesn't alienate everybody. Everybody's welcome if you can spend the money, I suppose, is the
Exactly. You have to have the money to be here. You might be able to find your way out. There's people, migrating through. You saw the couple and, probably families. And you saw in the beginning the map, right? So
Mm.
one of the criticisms of this film, positive criticism, was that this film also blent in a tiny bit of, a documentary style, even though it's not a true story, but because there's a map. And, we see that people have moved from, they could go from here to here to here, um, uh, you know, down through Marseille and then across the Mediterranean into Northern Africa to get back to Portugal. This was all to get to Portugal so you could get, Portugal being neutral and able to send flights over to the United States. This was a big roundabout way to get the heck out of there.
Yeah, get to
And they
Lisbon.
had,
Get to Lisbon, wasn't it?
yeah,
Always
yeah,
get
and
to
they had
Lisbon.
to get out and they had to come through here. I'll hold my thought on
Mm.
some copycats in other films that use places like this as a device, but I'll hold my thought on that for a minute.
Yeah, I think it's good though, like how they they're all whispering. They all know they're like it's all about getting the papers, getting the who can do it. It's the opening part. All like the Europeans, you've got in there wherever they come from. It's all about they're all whispering. They're all they're all doing that as over their shoulder, making sure they're not being heard. They've got that, but they're in a place where things could happen if you've got the right currency. Let's say that, and then it's introduced to our main man, Rick. Very iconic. He's very iconic in this, isn't he? It's
Very iconic, very
I
typical,
yeah,
typical
yeah.
American leading man.
He's but is it like I'm just trying to think of his other movies? He's very stern into this. I think how they shot him makes it better. Like with that look, that's the shadow on the top. So
Mhm.
you've got that. That is all you're supposed to look at. And with the what he dresses like, and having a very normally probably 90% of the time of this movie he has a cigarette like that. It's very timed of the piece and all that.
Yeah, this is why it doesn't run on American television
Yeah.
too often for two reasons: the constant smoking,
Mm,
and the fact that yes, we've got the ultimate bad guys again. How
yeah.
many films now have we looked at where we've had we have quite a few films, not just on left on the wheel of film, but films that we've already talked about, that have the German element. And but I think, and I'm trying to think, like, how is that possible? And I thought to myself, well, this is such a pivotal time in the history of the world that there are a lot of films made about it, from all the war movies we've talked about and the few that we've looked at already, Rommel and Sink the Bismarck, all the way to Raiders of the Lost Ark, all the way through. We're always going to have an influence on Star Wars, which we talked about last week. It's just such a pivotal point in modern world history. We're going to have so many stories
Mm.
about this time period and and this subject. But you asked about Humphrey Bogart. So the African Queen is the one that he won
Yeah.
the Oscar for. The African Queen, written by the same person who wrote Sink the Bismarck last week. So everything's all coming together. Um,
Always a connection.
Always a connection. And you mentioned the lighting on him. So, and I hope I'm not spoiling anything you wanted to share, but the lighting director specifically said, if you look, you'll see it. Humphrey Bogart is always lit from the side so that he's half light and half dark. And it's in a way representing the conflict. This film is seen as an art film for sure. The Ingrid Bergman character is always filmed in very soft light, kind of muddled light, but with small lights lighting her so that her eyes sparkle. If you notice the few times when she's crying, you'll notice her eyes are sparkling. And then Victor, her husband, is always lit in bright white light. And it's because, he's supposed to be represented as the good guy that, if all else fails, we got to protect this guy. I didn't notice it again until after I had watched the film and then, kind of read into it. And then when I kind of went back and watched the film again, I was like, wow, they really did.
Yeah. Well, it's even how they light Sam as well. It's all, like he's like, it's spotlights. Like they most of the time, it's like, even when they do like that, it's literally, it's shining on him. He's the kind of the star to it, like that. So he's always like fully lit, but it's always like kind of from the back. They never do him from the front. So when they do, he does have his scenes. He's half shadowed, I suppose, like that. And so like, but even though he's like I suppose he's confident, I suppose, like that. It really, isn't he? He'd like he works for him, but he's the one he can talk to. He's the one he can, like, I can pass the secret on. We've been together for so long. It's even that there's but skipping a little bit of her, but like in the scene, isn't it, with the blue, what's it called, the blue lantern, the guy
jungle?
Is it blue jungle?
Blue parrot.
Is it blue
Jungle
parrot?
lantern
Oh my god,
parrot.
we kind of got it. He goes, I want to buy a cafe. And he's like, no, not there. He goes, how much for Sam? And he's like, I don't sell people like that. So it's he's got some loyalty with him as well, that it's a good thing. It's probably a bit of jealousy that this is the where it's at, I suppose, and the rest. He's one. It's a bit of a dive when you actually see
he's successful.
the
I mean, he's throwing money around, so he's definitely successful.
But yeah, from that we get. This guy has been in so many movies of this period, isn't it? He always plays the sleazy
Peter
like
Lorre.
oddball. Yeah, he always plays the odd probably the look, but he always plays like either the real sleazeball baddie or just the oddball type. And he's kind of like the I suppose the misfit oddball that is doing something wrong, and he kind of he opens up the Rick a little bit about it's a bit of a back and forth, like you don't know really, there's a history with them. Rick is clever to kind of back himself away. You can so you see straight away that Rick, even though he, like, at the beginning he's supposed to be a bit of a sleaze, I'm that club owner, I'm taking a backhander, but my eyes on everything. So you kind of get that through the whole thing, and you of course get with Sam and all that, everybody's enjoying themselves, but Rick still, he's in the background, he's still making little, it seems like he's the a dealer, I suppose, like that, but he's a dealer of papers and this things like that. So it's strewed, like I'd say this is early in the movie, but it's a great setup to get the characters until, of course, we get this is the place to be at. we get a bit of instigation with where we just spoke about, kind of shoots back at that. They're taking him away. Even that, like, Rick, he apologizes for to the crowd, carry on, get the band going. But then who walks in? We have Victor Lazaro.
Laszlo.
Yep.
Laszlo.
We
Mhm.
Yeah, Laszlo.
Laszlo, and of course his
Ilsa.
wife. His wife. Yeah, it's a good little setup. It's like that because they just seem. I say you have a bit of more back and forth with everybody in the. I suppose in the bar, but this is literally all set up to get to this one. Them now encountering Rick again. I don't know if I'm guessing straight away she might have known that it's Rick's. It's got Rick across the bar, so she must
I
have
think
been.
she did.
But yeah,
Yeah.
and so yeah, they have a back and forth, of course, with the captain. Is it a captain? Is he a captain?
Renault.
Yeah,
Yes,
captain.
I believe so.
Yeah, and then of course they have a bit of with a German officer. Just be like they know who he is. They don't say who he is. We now know he's important to the Free French cause because they are wary of him. So it's we don't know who he throughout the movies. You actually don't know his position. You just know he's probably part of the resistance. How high is he up he is? You don't know. The Germans can't arrest him outright. The French can't do it. The Moroccans can't do it. So he's kind of floating in there. They don't have a case against him. So it sits
like
there.
John Connor, we have to protect him at all costs. Or
exactly.
Or Neo, we have to protect him.
But in this whole scene, we do have again I suppose a member of the Free French comes kind of up, doesn't he, and says where is it there? The picture I have a ring. Are you off? You look like you look like a couple that are heading for America or something, doesn't he?
And this could fetch you quite a few dollars over there.
Yeah.
It won't do me any good here. And
Yeah.
he opens it up, and there's the Free French symbol in his ring, so they know he's one of them.
Yeah. So yeah, they go off, and then whilst this is all happening, Sam looks over. It's like, oh, I do like Sam's look because I think he's the one of the unsung heroes of this movie in a way, because everybody knows the classic lines, but when he looks over and he's like, oh shit. I love some of the expressions on this through the movie is there's a lot of, they don't have to say anything. It's the way they express themselves by going, oh, hello. And he does when he glances over and sees her. And then, of course, she goes over to Sam. And then he's like, where's Rick? And they're like, he just lies through his teeth. And she even picks up on him you should be a good liar. He's like, where is he? He's not here. He won't be back. He goes off. He's got a girlfriend over. Look, I think it might be the Blue Parrot, she even says. And then it's like that. And then a misquoted line, as we've said, so she
play that song for me. Play it for me, Sam. Play it. Just not play it again, Sam. Which makes me think of Dame Judy and Jeffrey Palmer in the sitcom As Time Goes By.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's what me and my girlfriend were talking about. We're like, what was it? It was like Time Goes By. Yeah.
Jeffrey Palmer. He passed away recently too. God bless
Jay,
him.
You probably don't know what are we talking
Never heard of
British
it.
thing.
Never heard of
Cozy
it.
television, really, really wholesome. A cozy story with Judi Dench and Jeffrey Palmer, who find themselves. They lost each other during the Korean War, and they find themselves again 30 years later and get back together again. It's just good wholesome fun.
Yeah, it's a
but
very
it's called As
British,
Time Goes By.
a very British TV.
Fair enough.
Yes, it's I must say I wouldn't recommend it, but it is very staple of that time. It's like everybody remembers it.
If you're
Yeah,
home with the flu and you just want to feel
yeah,
good and nothing stressful,
yeah.
it's a good show. I like it. I put it right up there with Hyacinth Bouquet.
Hi.
Bucket.
If you're
Bouquet.
like bouquet, bucket.
Bucket.
That's it, it's a bucket. So
It's
what's that? All
pronounced
just but
bouquet.
bouquet.
Jay, we'll fill you
So
in later.
so Rick kind of marches up to Sam, angry as anything. I told you never to play that song again. And then this is where I like it because you get her look. Like I say, you just mentioned the sparkly eyes and like that. She's a bit teary. She's much lighter. And then of course you get Rick again. He's look of shock of a little bit like, but then it's just the nod from Sam. He's like over there, kind of over there, it's like that. So it's I like it because you know again straight away within the first 30 minutes as well of this movie where it's going to go, but also their past relationship is they've got one. I definitely got one here. um she gets kind of I don't know, like at the table she goes back to the table, then there's introduced to that who's Rick, kind of is a bit, you know, it's everybody's wary of Laszlo, and then Rick is there. And I I like this next bit because like the bar closes, and I think this is more poetic, is like when kind of Sam is trying to put like, you know, let's talk about it. I'm going to put an arm over his shoulder, and he's just like, you know what? I just want to get drunk and
Yep.
play it. Just play it. You know, you
Yeah,
played it
play
for
it.
her. Was it like you played it for her? You can play it for me or something. I can't remember.
Mhm.
Things like that. So it's just and then he just
He's
okay,
angry.
boss. Yeah, and he's just like he knows him. You can see that he knows him too. Like, well, he's like, no, we're not going to get drunk together. It's fair. You just need to melancholy out. You just need to have your moment of like that. And again, it's like how even when it's like this a darkened room, it's like that. And hey, anybody want to say the next iconic line? I think Sandy said it. I think it was the first chat of the day.
Was it my first chat?
Yeah, I think it was. Go on,
Of all the
Sandy,
gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she had to walk into mine.
Again, that's it. So it's so iconic. Like Jay, at this point, I think because we've had like it's probably like two or three iconic quotes in movie, I suppose, movie history, I suppose, like that. You want to like that. Did you recognize the quotes, or did you like you must have seen them before, like, or heard them before?
At this point, I didn't really recognize them. The one that I recognized the most was the one that's going to come up. The the "Here's looking at you, kid." That was the
Okay.
one that stuck out the most to me.
Mm.
But no, like the "Play It Again, Sam," or whichever way it's misquoted. That wasn't one that stood out to me. And nor did this one. It was, for me, it was definitely the "Here's looking at you, kid."
Mm. It's I don't know why this has so many iconic lines.
Yeah.
I must say that it does it like there are a lot of picked out. Ooh, you know, like that. Whoever's done the script is like, there it is. There's your line. Don't worry about anything else. And it's always said, except for say, "Here's looking at you, kid," in a very dry manner. It's always in a sad manner. It's not a happy. It's not supposed to be a happy quote. Things like that. So it's strange that people has always quoted it back to me, like especially through my lifetime. Like there's always people like said words from this movie. It's weird that there's even other movies. It's just, is it just luck, or it was just a great writing?
I think the
prominently done.
problem, the blessing is a curse, right?
Mm.
Because and even in our own lives, sometimes the things that we do really, really well, we overuse them and then they become like problems for us. If you're very, very organized, you can become too organized. This film, the writing is so impeccable and it's so good that so much of it was picked up in quotes. And one of my problems with watching this film again, it seemed kind of cliche, but it was cliche because of itself, not because it was copying other films or ripping off lines from other films. It originated all this amazing dialogue, and it's been repeated so many times that when you go back and watch it, it does feel a little trite. My favorite line is always round up the usual suspects. I love what a fantastic line. And there's a whole bunch of other ones we haven't even seen yet. The problems of three people don't amount to a hill of beans in this world. There's just so much. I think it is such good writing. I'm disappointed it never made it to the stage because, a play, to see this on the stage with what, 5 main characters, having this dialogue exchange would have been extraordinary. And so they took that great writing and made it into a film, and it's so many quotable lines that it's been quoted to death. And now when you watch the film, at least for me, it was like, ooh, a little cliche, but it's the original cliches. I guess it would be like if you watch Shakespeare, you have to forgive because so many of the lines in every Shakespeare play have turned into, quotes and sayings and things that we use today. But it is it's a little difficult, and it's different than, sometimes you watch a film and you can say all the lines because you've seen it so many times. That's not what this is, but the line is coming. And because the line is set up in a setting, in a situation, exactly when he's going to say, of all the gin joints, and exactly when the inspector's or the captain's going to say, round up the usual suspects. It's coming, and it feels a little trite, but you have to go back and kind of give the writers credit for that, and not criticize the film today. I guess I worry about people who may see it for the first time. Jay, so when you see the film and you hear all of the lines, you might say, oh, where did I hear that before? And did it feel boring? Did it feel cliche? Or did it feel clever?
I will say, and forgive me, there's a snowplow directly outside my house right now, so it might make a ton of
No,
noise.
you
I'm not
can't hear
entirely
it.
sure.
No.
But I will say it's funny you mentioned that, because for me, I definitely noticed that the Rick character, in terms of dialogue and just his general character, did feel very cliche as I was watching it. He just kind of had these one-liners constantly and all that. And even without recognizing some of the quotes, it did feel like those were cliche quotes, if that makes sense. I 100% fell victim to being that first-time watcher now who does see it as, or did see, a lot of his dialogue as a bit cliche. But I think you also raise a really good point about that. It kind of originated a lot of that, and a lot of, like you said, it's not being cliche like something we've seen now trying to mimic things of the past. It was kind of the originator to a degree of some of this stuff. So I think that's an interesting perspective to look at it as somebody who just watched it for the first time. And that's something that probably, definitely knowing now, or like having it be explained to me that way now, changes a little bit about my immediate review of the movie itself. In a good way, in a positive way, for sure.
I'm actually, sorry, I'm just going to make a statement. I'm actually starting to warm up now. I must say that. It's like that. I think my heat has now kicked in. I'm like, it might start getting hot. Well, Jay's got a snowplow, so are you buried in now? So I don't know.
The plow actually just unburied me, so that's the good thing.
There we go.
So for anyone in chat who's brand new, who has not joined Film Club before, so we are all experiencing different forms of winter right now. So I am on the
and they're all terrible.
I'm in the Mid-Atlantic near Baltimore, kind of between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. Jay is up in Boston, if you couldn't tell from his accent. And James over in the UK. And we all began before this stream just saying how freaking cold we were.
It was. It's bitter. That's I think the best thing. And we know
Yep.
what we didn't speak after. People go, don't have Bovril.
Oh yeah, and don't have
Oh yeah,
Bovril.
and we
I've
found
learned
out
my
about
lesson.
an infamous meat drink.
It's true.
Sounds terrible.
We
So.
started laughing again.
Oh,
The
it's
meat
brilliant.
drink.
Oh. It's
Mm.
like, whoa. Oh, anybody likes Bovril in chat, leave. Abe
Abe.
probably does.
I have a
Abe
feeling
probably
Abe
loves it. Abe's a Northern. I love a bit of Bovril. Oh, that's it. But yeah, back to the sunny sights. Now we get to a bit of a flashback, I suppose, of that of whilst Rick is down in these sorrows of their kind of, I suppose, their love spur, I suppose you want to call it, throughout Paris. Oh my god, he like I bet look he did. Look, he had to say it.
Get him
love
out.
Bovril.
Get him out of
Get
here.
him out. Yeah, so we get this now I'm gonna go probably like Jay probably like saw this. Oh, it looks bad, doesn't it, with the backdrop moving and like everything in the foreground, doesn't think it just
The driving in the car was the
yeah,
worst.
That was the
it's
one
It was
that
terrible.
completely a set.
right. It
Yeah,
stuck
it's
out for sure.
yeah,
But again,
everything was.
you can appreciate it with this.
Yeah.
There was a war going on while this was being
Yeah,
filmed,
and
so
that's one thing that I
we can
kept
forgive them.
reminding myself too throughout the movie. Like this was, 1942. Imagine it was filmed 1940, 41, or I'm not sure how long it took
It
to get.
began in the end of 1940, and
That's what I figured.
before the
Okay.
U.S. was in the war. Yeah.
Right. So like you can appreciate that in these films. I think it's one thing to see a movie now with all the technology we have put out bad effects, and that's when we're like, dude, that was terrible. How did you manage to do that? Like it looks awful. It's not going to hold up in 6 months from now, never mind 10 years, 15 years. For a movie like this where you see it and you're like, ooh, that looks a little cheesy. It's like, yeah, it does, but that was also the time. You know what I mean? Like you can let it slide and you can kind of just appreciate it for what it is and what they tried to do with what they were able to do versus a movie now that just has, all these things at its disposal and just puts out a bad, looking movie when it comes to effects. So did it look a little cheesy at times, especially with that driving scene and things like that? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But
It does
again,
take
you can
you out a little
appreciate
bit,
it.
but yeah.
But you can appreciate it for what it is in the
I
time
don't
it was
feel like
made.
is it appreciated or just like I can respect it?
Yeah,
I can
right. Like, or even just like accept it. You know what I mean?
Accept it.
Like
That's
I
the
can
gist.
just, I can take it
Yeah.
and move on.
I'll
I'm
just
not
take
going
it
to
as
hem
it
and
is,
haw
yeah.
over it. It's not that
Yeah.
big of a deal.
Yeah. So you kind of get their, I suppose their a quick love affair. It seems like either a year. I don't know if they actually say how long they've been, but this is where
No.
you get on, and then the kind of they start getting the newspapers, what is actually happening, more to the east, and then the inevitable, the invasion of France is happening, and but it just kind of it goes out. We haven't, Sandy, you've already said it in a chat, but yeah, we'll always have Paris. So it's like that. So we kind of get later why she left, what was going on. But yeah, it's good for the story to have that kind of interlinking bit, even though it's acceptable with the what has actually happened. But yeah, it needed it. It needed the flashback to kind of get their closeness together, I suppose, like that, because without it, like the movie, I wouldn't have made sense for the ending, I suppose, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even up to this point, you kind of see in their glances, not in their words, but how they look at each other. There's something there. There's something deep. He wants to drink it out, so that means, wow, he must have really, been in love with her. And I think the film does a good job in a relatively short span of time here to develop how much they really were devoted to each other. And they're also in a perilous situation, and they're getting ready to leave, and of course it's at the train station. And again, it's not a cliche, because this film helped to originate the cliche of being left at a train station. You know, it's not. I guess I could look at it now and roll my eyes 100 times, but this is the film that did it first, so it's okay, you know, that, you know, she left him at the train station. He left her at the altar, you know, as the other one, but, you know, in this one, she left him at the train station, and, um, that, you know, became overused over and over and over again, but we can't fault this film for it because this film originated it.
Yeah.
I agree with
it's
that.
not out of
that line
place. Yeah,
thinking.
it's not out of place. It doesn't make you go, oh, that again. It doesn't. It doesn't feel like that. I think throughout this movie, you can get the references, but not at any time you go, oh, that's cheesy. Oh, I can see that because I'm guessing the setting. Yeah, because it's Casablanca. You know, you know the time. If this was a modern day version, kind of you know this kind of thing, I think everybody would be like, oh, this is off-putting. Yeah, it would be, but yeah, I think how they've, you know, though the film has flaws, I don't think that they meant it to be iconically cheesy is the best way I could do it, where, you know, the settings would have been taken into, you know, oh, that worked, you know, oh, that's a good setting. You know, how, you know, people go, oh, how do we break them up? I know, just leave, nobody turns up at the train station. That's how we can do it, you know. I think this is instilled into people's, you know, writers, directors' heads of like an easy get out of situations. Yeah. But this is the movie that did it.
It
it's
did
like
it first.
We don't have to play our hand of what we're showing you or telling you. It's just easily done.
He's got the note. He opens the note. It's pouring down raining now. So, you know, the ink is flowing down the note. If the roles had been reversed and a woman would have been opening a note, there would have been tears streaming down the note, right? That would have been the image you would have seen, but men don't cry. So it has to be raining so that the words are streaming down, you know, down the paper. I wonder if he's kept that note. That would have been interesting. Like if later he's, you know, you found that he kept that note. Who knows?
I was wondering if he was going to myself. And then when he gets on the train, which for the record, I noticed as he and Sam get on the train, they look considerably less wet than they did a scene prior when the water was pouring down on them. They were considerably less wet, which I thought was like,
the magic of movies.
A wardrobe change and then the next scene. But he does, as he's kind of like the train is moving, he kind of crumples it up and throws it, you know, off the train as the train.
I didn't see that.
So he does dispose of it after that.
You pay good attention.
Yeah. So after he's kind of drunk and reminiscing, who now turns back up at the bar? Dun dun dun. Like,
she wants to tell him why, but he isn't having it. He is not having it.
Well, but like, I always think there's a lot of scenes with him in a bottle, so I'm guessing that, but he doesn't seem drunk enough. I always think that this scene, he needed to be a bit more, you know, like, I don't want to listen because I've just downed like a bottle of whiskey or whatever, a bottle of gin or whatever it is. I just don't care. You can talk to me, but I just don't want to listen. I think it needed a bit more bitchiness from his side. If like, look, you're back with your husband. The feelings have come back. I still love you, but also I'm kind of drunk.
Yeah.
Like it just needed a bit. It needed a bit more. Yeah, like today you get a bit more bitchiness. That's what this scene just needed. The words are all right. It just doesn't fit. This is one of the scenes in this movie. I just was like, you just wouldn't be that things. It's like if your ex turned up and you just near enough necked a bottle of a whiskey or whatever, and she wants to come out and explain things. I think the last thing you want to do is like, look, I'm drinking this because I'm pissed off with you because you left me. So yeah, it's things, but yeah, she tries to explain in a very non-straight way, I suppose, like that is of what is going on. But it's just a bit flat. It is. I don't know what you guys felt. Yeah. But again, it doesn't take away from the movie. It just felt a bit just felt a bit flappy. It's just, I suppose I'm guessing more because you would again see different aspects of like people's characteristics when they drink, I suppose, like that, and you just don't get it here. They're just acting whilst he's pretending to be drunk, and he's not playing a good drunk. Let's say that.
It definitely could have used more messiness from him in terms of mannerisms and just letting loose more of the emotion, like not just anger, probably a little bit of sad, like almost some tears welling up type of thing. It could have used, and I would even argue that she could have been a little bit more emotional during this whole scene as well, even though she was the sober person. She could, considering the idea that they're trying to get across of how much love they had in whatever brief or long period of time it was in Paris, you would have expected maybe just a little bit more emotion, tears out of her as well.
Yeah, they did. It just needed like, I suppose I'm going to go for another movie with Now and I. It's like they know how to play drunk without being
God,
drunk.
I love that film.
There you go. But that is
on the wheel.
It's on the wheel. But that is a movie where the actor is playing drunk, but was not drunk. Of
and
course,
he's
like
a teetotaler. Yeah,
teetotaler in real life. And he was like, how you become a drunk is you overact. If more you overact, the more drunk you look. And then you go like, and it just needed that. It just needed that from the things, and then like the dismissiveness of that. It just needed it, because
I think you're right.
because it cut so abruptly of their interaction. What should have been, I think this is except for when Sam was there, this is now their first one-to-one. This is and he's thinking she's not. She's really, trying to tell him and asking for help at the same time with the whole situation. And then it just like I just don't like the cut next, because it, like, when they cut into it, they just literally cut into the captain, the German officer, and then kind of talking about Rick. He's got the papers. Where is it? They know that he's forging papers. They don't know where he hides them. I think even the captain said he wouldn't be that stupid to hide them in Rick's bar. Things like that. And we get a couple of scenes, like the people in there trying to get, that comes back to play a little bit later, a very young couple. And then we kind of get them to kind of enter in the captain's office, like that, with the German officer there. And then they're kind of there for papers to Lisbon, like that. They want, is it, do they call it a visa or just papers in this point?
A visa, and they also need money to be able to get there. And you find out that the way that Rick is, as cold as he is and as neutral as he is, eventually you're going to find out how he helps people. It's not just forging the papers, but manipulating the casino so that the people who need money can win their money and get out of town. And that was such a cool scene. I totally overlooked that when I had seen that before. He's on the fence. He's not in it for either side, but deep down, he's a good guy.
Yeah, we're going to that scene. I think that's a very insightful scene as well, like that. But this one is like, I do like the German officer. He's like, again, it's not showing their full hand. It's like, oh, you're in Casablanca. I like, and he just plays it like, I don't think you're going to be given, papers. And he's like to the captain, like, do you think they're going to get the papers? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't think you're going to get your papers. So they're kind of, everybody's playing it very coy. Nobody's showing their hand like that. The Germans know who you are. The captain knows who you are. Laszlo, the Victor, knows who he is to them, but nobody's like going, we still can't arrest you. They're still like, we know, I suppose, rumors, but we've not got the hard truth to it. But also they want to, like the Germans as well, we need to stop Rick. We know he's doing the forging out, or, supplying money to it. It's now the movie's kind of now getting into like this corruption, this and element of, you know, like, well, the only hope most people have got are to get out, get to Lisbon like that. Otherwise, they're going to end up in either a camp, or they're going to end up dead somewhere like that. So they've only got a couple of things to do. But now we go on to Jay's bar, and the blue parrot. We get a very
This guy is in talk about a bit part actor. This guy, when I saw his face, I had to look him up. I said, I know this guy's in a bajillion of these films that we're going to look at. And you mentioned Peter Lorre, but this is Sidney Greenstreet. He's in a whole bunch of them too. Like, you know, and many that we have on our list, the Maltese Falcon, and a whole bunch of, films of the era. And this guy always shows up with a part. Sidney Greenstreet, yeah, Stone Cold. And yeah, I see the your comment about he wasn't forging papers. He got the papers from Jurgot, the guy who ended up being killed because he had stolen the papers from the murdered courier.
So I have a very random fun fact about that courier. Well, not the courier, the guy who got the papers. Was it Peter Lorre's character?
Peter
Was that the guy's
Lorre.
name? So when I first saw, just because we're talking about how much stuff these guys have been in. Yes, this guy. Yeah. So when I first saw him, immediately I'm like, that voice and that face is insanely familiar. What do I know it from? And it just struck me now as I typed in Peter Lorre Looney Tunes. So in Looney Tunes, they based, and it looks like it wasn't actually him. They based a character off him as parody to pay homage to him, where he would always be in the Looney Tunes, and he had the same exact face, same exact voice. So I don't know if it was just somebody doing an impersonation of him.
Face.
Yeah, and he was always, if you look it up, you'll find it immediately, pictures of it. I knew he was familiar from something. I just couldn't pinpoint it. And for some reason, when you just mentioned his name again, I thought to look it up, and yep, it was Looney Tunes. So yeah, he used to be a Looney Tunes character, or there was a character based off of him. I don't think
he was in a lot of horror films too. He was like the assistant, the mad scientist's assistant, because of that face. It's kind of like
it looks like
a Steve
even
Buscemi.
Looney Tunes. Yes,
He's
exactly.
the original Steve Buscemi. He's got that face.
I'm looking at the Looney Tunes wiki fandom, just a little tab for it here without even clicking on it. It says his name was Dr. Lorre in Looney Tunes, and one of the pictures is him in like a science lab. So yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, he has kind of got them. What's the best way? Like googly eyes, I suppose.
Yeah, just like the very big eyes. Yep.
Yeah. It's like that,
I knew he looked insanely familiar. And once I heard the voice, I'm like, I know this guy, but I've never seen any movies with him. It was Looney Tunes. So sorry, that's my little sidetrack there.
We'll see a few more movies with him, because there are a few movies on the wheel that have him. I think we have the Maltese Falcon. But by the way, half of the actors in this film were also in the Maltese Falcon. That's kind of weird, which I think we have on the wheel of film, but. Yeah, I think he and Sidney Greenstreet, I think, are going to pop up at least a few more times.
Yeah, but they're not leading. They're like one of those ones that I was I'm guessing they were like, they're a solid actor. If you need you need them to do a couple of things. We just need somebody solid. They're not going to mess up their lines. They do it really well. Boom, that's it. Like they're probably on like the cards of on the books of the studios. And they just they're reliable. Get them on, like that. They've come in for a day. Now their lines, off they go. They're happy, to get their small check, but it's a good check for them.
It's a good check, and it's consistent if you get that kind of work all the time. So fair enough.
Yeah. So we have say again with that Laszlo, but now we kind of get in where I suppose the Germans have like making sure they're seen, I suppose, like that. So after there's a bit of play, we get back into Rick's bar. It's kind of like the opening scene, but now we have the German officers have kind of come into this is your joint, but we own the city kind of thing.
They're peacocking, so to speak.
Yeah.
putting out the tail feathers there to show off.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Did you
anybody
not?
notice anything when they walked in the door?
Was there oranges everywhere?
No. No. Good call. No, there's no. I didn't see any oranges.
I
in
that would
this.
have been yes.
I
Oh my
didn't
God,
see
there's
any
an orange
oranges.
there. I need to go back and now watch it. Go like, orange. Very
No,
hard in black and white. It might have been just a.
I didn't see
tiny
any
bit.
oranges. But it's not about what we saw or smelled or tasted, but what did we hear? There's a little theme music when the Germans show up, and it's a dun
Dun dun
dun
dun dun
dun.
dun.
Exactly. So I'm gonna start asking just a wee bit. How much Star Wars are we seeing in this film?
Yeah,
The
they do play. There is a except for the main theme, but they do have themes. They have
They do.
the music themes for people who come in. So
Mhm.
they do. It's very subtle, but it's still there. And yeah, it's like, by the music score. The music score, like we've not even said that, but it is very
Max
good. It
Steiner.
is, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm. But
Max
yeah,
Steiner has won a few Oscars, not for this film. It was nominated for the score, but he won Oscars for The Informer, which is a 1936 film. I mean, this goes way back. He also won for Now Voyager, which I don't think is on the Wheel of Film, but it is Betty Davis's like best film. I think it's Betty Davis. Yeah, Betty Davis. She's awesome. And he also won for Since You Went Away, which I'm not familiar with, but he was nominated something like 31 times. He was nominated 31 times
Wow.
for The Cane Mutiny, The Jazz Singer. How do you not win for The Jazz Singer? He was nominated for The Jazz Singer. He was nominated for, let's see, Rhapsody in Blue, Night and Day, which he didn't write the Rhapsody in Blue, Night and Day, Casablanca, Sergeant York, Dark Victory, he wrote the score for Gone with the Wind.
you
So
just actually name like three. Like I know you don't really like Gone with the Wind historical wise,
yeah,
but Sergeant York, I love that. And that's
Sergeant
on the
York.
wheel.
Mhm.
That is on the wheel. That's on the film. I love that
So
movie.
yeah, Max Steiner. I'm glad we did kind of mention it because the music is kind of subtle. I'm sorry, the score is kind of subtle because it's overshadowed by the music, the actual songs that we hear, the popular songs in this film. In addition to as time goes by, we've got several, popular songs, um, which fit very well because we're in a club. So it's okay. It's not like we're jamming in popular songs, and it's not just Sam.
Mhm.
We have I don't know. I she's either a French or a Spanish singer. My brain always goes to Spanish because she's playing a guitar, so I could be wrong. But so we have the singer singing songs, and then we have the Marseillaise coming up. But yeah, just brilliantly subtle score to this film. Um, but yeah, you do have the themes when the Germans are coming in. You have, I'm sure something that's going to be called like Ilsa's theme. You have something subtle. Oh, Max Steiner also. I'm still going down Max Steiner. King Kong wrote the score
Oh,
to the original King Kong. Yep.
yeah.
So super accomplished and great job here.
But yeah, you get from this, you get the back and forth. I like this because again, it's showing there's now different parties. I suppose like what we had, like the first group, and they've probably gone to Lisbon, they might have been captured, might have been put in camps or whatever. But now you've got the next group, and it's like that, and then like everybody, they're all ushering. But then we get, I'm not sure of her name. I must say that I don't know her name.
I don't know if we know her name.
No, but Rick, she turns up to Rick, and he's like, she's underage. She shouldn't be here. So I'm guessing I'm guessing it's Morocco. So when they want to drink, I'm guessing it's not 21. Let's say that. So I'm guessing
12. Okay.
Yeah, I'm guessing now, but back there, I'm guessing this is just because she looks young, he's saying that she's underage, get her out there. But then this next bit of scenes, I think this is kind of like it's thoughtful, it's light-hearted, but it has a lot of meaning onto it because she's kind of I'm guessing her and her lover, a young love, have been denied to get off, being denied papers by the captain, and the reason is because the captain wants a piece.
Oh yeah.
So and
Yeah,
it's
I
a bit,
noticed that. There was
yeah,
another
yeah,
reference earlier to somebody coming up to his room, and it was
yeah.
like a real, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So even she said, like, what kind of man is he? And Rick kind of, he kind of straight away knows what's going on. He's very kind of subtle about it. He's like, I'm listening to you. And then when she says that, he's like, oh, okay. What, he knows what he's like. He likes the younger lady. He likes I suppose, to corrupt youth, I
Yeah.
suppose, is the best way to put it. But then Rick does the right thing. He
Yep.
realized, well, they haven't got the money. I don't want the captain's, kind of abusing this young lady to get his own ups, things like that. So he goes to where her young love is, just trying his luck at a bit of a roulette. And have you tried 22? I like that.
And you know what's
Like,
funny? I always play 22, and it has nothing to do with this film. I always play 22.
that's it. So yeah, 22, and he's yeah. I like this scene because he like plays it, and he's like 22 to the thing, like just that subtle nod. That's
Keep it there.
there's a button somewhere that always,
Uh-huh.
if somebody's winning, somebody's losing, but if he wants to win, 22 is the number. And then he wins, he goes to take his money, goes, let it ride, like
Yep.
that. He's like
Keep it
that. So
there.
and it's good. I like it because I think it shows a bit of heart, because
Yeah.
Bogart plays it very, very dry. Everything, that even when there's love, this is where he because he's playing it very a dry character, a very stern character. He doesn't have to give the emotion. He just need to show it by actions. That, look, sometimes the heart leads the heart, and he's like that. And
Mhm.
also, the right thing should be done. These are people who are innocent. They're too young to be corrupt. I really like this scene. I think the whole scene to it, he just does the right thing. And I think it's sweet, and it's right to do. So
It
yeah.
is. You know what you also see? Um, you see all the people who work for Rick and the
Mm,
total loyalty they have to him
mm,
and the trust that they have in each other. Starting with Sam, but then also the waiter, the head waiter. I don't remember catching his name. Sasha at the bar, the guy here at the roulette wheel. I mean, they're all doing some pretty dangerous things. Um, Carl, I think his name. Yeah, Carl is the waiter. They're all engaged in dangerous business. They all have to absolutely trust each other. And, for Rick to make the decision to, reverse cheat and let this guy win, they all have to be in on it, and they all have to be okay with it, and they all trust him. And I totally like that in this film. He's got such a depth to his character. He's kind of placid and stern on the outside, but he really does have a heart of gold on the inside. Um, so, again, you know what side he's going to come down on in the end, because deep down he's a good guy.
mm. But it shows his intelligence to
Hmm.
he's working everyone, like he's playing every side, and he shows his intelligence throughout this movie. Is even when you're like the captain comes in and asks, to certain things, and like the Germans, what they kind of hint at him, but then he knows, yeah, I can listen, I can play the game, because we're all playing the game, and we
Hmm.
all know we're playing the game. It's just who's better at the game, and it turns out, later on we find out. But yeah, from this, we get, Victor, after all this, I need a word, and they go up, and I like this because you get, like, I don't know what the Germans are singing. Sorry, anybody who's a historian or things, I don't know
No,
I'm
I don't
guessing
think
it's
it's
a
the
ra-
it's not the
no,
former national anthem.
no,
It's,
no.
don't know what
It's
it is.
just I'm guessing it's a propaganda
Just some kind of
one they
song,
had. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just a troop rallying. I'm guessing very things, and then of course, um, Victor gets very annoyed. He gets very. They go out to the balcony, kind of like what was it?
It's the
Rick
hearts
is
and
kind of
minds, yeah.
yeah. He kind of looking. He's like, well, okay, they're doing what they're doing, but Victor gets kind of like very not in the. Well, I know it's Morocco, but I'm guessing he's thinking not in France, kind of like that. We need to do that, so he gets up and again it's Rick again giving the nod to when he starts. Does anybody know the lyrics? Anybody gonna go?
I have no idea.
Da, 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 da,
It's
da.
the
I think
Marseillaise, I know the
Mars, yes.
song. Da,
Yeah,
da,
I
da,
don't know
da, da,
that.
da, da, da. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's. I'm guessing. I'm sure it was probably at this time. It was probably banned. I'm guessing.
Oh, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, it must have been like yeah. It's not going to be like, especially in France. So like them to do it. Well, it shows it. Shows its things, and then we have a little bit funny because the German officer kind of goes, you know, hey Tomby, I see Tomby just raided
Hey,
as well
Tommy.
from his channel. Just raided after his little
Woohoo,
stream.
hello.
Woo! So it's quite funny because you get the Germans go, shut it down, and then of course the captain goes, oh, I can't believe you've been gambling. It's like that. And then the guy comes out and he goes, Captain, here's your winnings. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I
It's in his pocket. It's great.
It's that it gives it a bit of
Hey, go
levity.
pick
I like that. It's very, very. I love that bit because it does make you. It's the only part in the movie really that you can give it a kind of, you know, it is one of those.
Well,
It's
that
like,
and round up
it's
the
fun.
usual suspects. I
Yeah,
give it a little chuckle there too.
yeah. So yeah, I do. It's just a bit of thing because you get
Yeah,
to
he's
his
shocked at him. Great.
yeah, it is quite an amusing little scene. It's like, but it's like that, but you can just see it from distance. It's like, and here's your money. It's great. I just think it's brilliant.
I
But
did
yeah,
get a
it's
good laugh out of that.
yeah, but it's just like you can tell by Rick's face as well. Yeah, they do this now and again. He's not argumentative, like yeah, like, or he has to put his hand in his pockets.
Mm-hmm.
The captain knows now and again, I'm gonna have to close you down. You know, it's just it's just the wheels are turning.
It's a formality in the world we're living in here. It's
Yeah,
something that's going to happen. Don't look too much
yeah,
into it, type of thing.
yeah. I'm playing the game. Okay, go do what you need to do. Yeah, by a couple of days or a day, you know, we'll be up and running. It's fine. It's things, but
then
yeah.
he and Carl are sitting down doing the books.
Mm.
And Carl says, you know, how long can we stay closed? And he says, about 2 weeks, because I'm going to pay all of you while it's shut down. And again, what a good guy. You know, what a really good guy. Who would have to do that? I mean, today business owners wouldn't pay their, you know, their staff. I mean, I'm sure they'd like to if they could, but if you're completely shut down, and he's like, no, I'm going to pay you. You know, that's about how far as I can pay you. And then Carl says, oh, that's good because I owe Sasha money. And it just, again, another little lighthearted real world moment there when they're chatting. Watchtower on Rhyme. Okay, Stone Cold Heart, you are obviously a Casablanca expert. So that's the old German patriotic song. Awesome.
What's that? The watch? Oh, that's it? There you go. Watchtower and right. There we go.
Fantastic.
There we go. Learn something. Always good to learn something once a day.
It's always good to learn something. That's why we're here. We're here for the learning. Entertainment is just the side dish, but we're here for the learning.
Yeah, until we get to Critters next week.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how much we're going to be learning with that movie.
There will be something.
There is a lot. There is a lot. But we kind of the next kind of scenes are kind of again Victor. The kind both of them are kind of having kind of a how are we going to do this? How are we going to get out? We kind of like Rick's kind of screwed us, kind of moment, kind of. She's trying to tell him stuff. He's Victor. I know he's supposed to be, I suppose, the unsung hero of this thing. He's annoying, isn't he? He's annoying because he doesn't really care about his wife.
Yeah,
He's like that.
It's all about the cause.
He does kind
yes.
of come off as, I wouldn't say unlikable, just like you get no attachment to him throughout this whole film, and you would think you would, given that he's, you know, for a good cause and all that. But yeah, you kind of, I don't know if it's just the love story between gosh, I'm forgetting her name, Ilsa and Rick is just one that you're kind of rooting for or not. But yeah, for some reason you just kind of don't really care for him all that much.
No, because when they have, like, after their kind of meeting, she goes to, of course, meets thing. She like, she's in a really rock and a hard place, let's say that. Like, she overplays her hand with him, like, you know, with the pistol coming out. We need the papers, we need to get out of here, we need to get out of here now. And he's just being him. He knows it. He knows her too well, that where Victor doesn't seem to it. Like, we don't know how the marriage was or whatever, but like, she's kind of torn of, like, this is the man, like, I'm
Stuck
in love with now. Yeah. And but she probably like loves him because of the cause, like what he is. But this is my romance. This is the man I'm romantically, you know, like, who, you know, who can settle me down, who, you know, this is like a romance. She's not settled with Victor. I think she's you know,
she doesn't have the hots for Victor. Let's put it bluntly.
Romanticized over his position, romanticized about the cause, you know, like that. But when he treats her like that, you're like, oh, you know, it's a bit, you don't. This is the thing, you don't want her to end up with any of them. And that makes things, because, you know, Rick's not good for her, Victor's not good for her. You kind of just want her to get away and just.
But maybe that's because of her. I also like, I don't know. And I understand, you know, she's caught in an odd situation. I don't know. There's something about her that is just a little off to me. Like, I don't feel like she is as connected to Rick. She does seem a little off. I think she's an amazing actress, but I kind of don't feel the connection toward either of them. And I know this is like the classic love story of all time. But I don't get that connection on her side. And the funny thing is, like, here's Humphrey Bogart, this man, this very, you know, I'm gonna say he's not stern, he's not aloof, but, like, you know, he's not as characteristically emotional. And yet I feel more of the emotion coming from him than I do from her.
Yeah.
Indifferent. That's a good word. Stone Cold. That's a good word. And yeah, there's indifference there. Stoic, Tommy. That's a good word too. All very good words in the lexicon that is our chat. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I suppose it is a very, so like, makes you feel indifferent between the three parties. I say, because there are, like, if you go, it's a triangle, like, you can go for the other, the parts that, like, it would make, like you said, like, to have this on the stage, because it is a love triangle, and then everybody else just comes in to support the arc of the story of how it's playing out. But yeah, there's three main characters. It's one of those ones, like, and I think we've had a few movies like that. You don't overly like any of the leads,
right?
If that makes sense, because I'm not fond of Rick, because he's so, he doesn't show his emotions.
Yeah,
she is very, she is very dry in what she's being pulled, so you don't really like her, and she's not got much to give into the movie, to be honest. And then Victor, you just kind of, like, as Jay said, you just can't warm to him, because, like, he's supposed to be this, like, hero of the Free French, but he's just everything he says, it just turns you off him.
Yeah,
so, like,
it's not likable.
It's not none are likable characters. It's not Saturday Night Fever. Don't like any of the characters.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's like unlikable almost is not the exact word I'd want to use.
Yeah.
It fits, like it works well enough, but it's more just that, like, again, you just can't connect with him. You can't
Mm.
want to like him, more so than he is unlikable, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And even in
Yeah.
the idea of like the love triangle going on here, it almost feels like he's kind of the odd man out. Like she almost feels a little stuck with him.
Yep.
Almost that like, because obviously we find out that she thought he had died in a camp and all that. So like that's how this whole fling between her and Rick even started up in the first place. And it almost feels like afterwards she feels like she's stuck with him to a degree because the commitment she made to him prior to that happening and then finding out that he was actually still alive and all that. It almost feels like she's more stuck with him out of loyalty or something than it
Mm-hmm.
is that she really loves him or that he's truly, an equal part of this love triangle. It seems like it's mostly set up to be between her and Rick, and there's this guy she's married to, and she feels kind of almost, I don't want to say stuck in that, but to a degree, yeah, she's just so loyal to him that he feels like just, again, the odd man out. So she's not even feeling all that warm to him in terms of the way the character plays out. So it's very difficult, at least for me, to kind of build some kind of connection with the Victor character, which again, weird because he's like the one, good guy in terms of what he's doing and his cause and all that in the entire film. Not to say that Rick's some bad guy or anything like that, but again, Rick kind of lives in the world of gray in terms
Mm-hmm.
of this area. There's black and white in terms of the two sides of this conflict, and then there's the people who exist in the middle between it who are neutral, so to speak, and he represents that. But for some reason, it's easier to get more connected to his character. And again, even though he plays it very dry, very stoic, all that, it just feels easier to connect with these two characters than it does the Victor character.
Can I make take a historical break just for a second?
Do it.
There is one pretty significant historical inaccuracy in the film, but it's by virtue of when the film was made. Because this film was made in the end of 1940, early 1941, they do use the term those camps, that we won't say, those camps that they refer to that Victor was in. And in this film, they are portraying them as if they are jails, right? Or labor camps. When this film was made, we did not know the absolute horror that was happening at those camps because the United States Army had not discovered the camps yet. It hadn't happened historically yet. It wasn't until the United States Army had actually gotten to some of the camps, and actually then proceeded to bring in all of the local Germans so they could take a real look at what was really going on in the camps. And then it was on the news, and then, bring in the cameras, and the decision by the United States Army to do that was one of the most important turning points of the war, because had they not done that, had they said, oh, this is too gruesome to share, let's not share it, then here we are, 70, 80 years later, we may believe that it never happened. And we do know that there are people in the world who believe that it never happened. But it had not happened yet when this film was made. So they're throwing around the term Victor was in a camp. Victor would not have been in a
The
camp, like
camps.
jail cell. And yes, they were using that term. That was not what those, actual concentration camps were used for, as we know now today. But so, folks watch this film and think, oh, oh, he was, quote, sentenced and came out somehow. It's because they didn't know when they wrote the film, when they filmed this, it had not come to light yet. There was no knowledge outside of the deepest, darkest pits of that part of Germany what was actually happening there. So I thought I just want to make that little historic clarification.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, because camps and a cell. Yeah, now
Yeah,
we
you
know
don't just go in and come out.
they're completely two different things. Like
Very different.
Yeah, being a member of the Free French and being in a cell, what they class as a camp.
Very
not
different.
the same
But
thing.
again, good propaganda, and that's what this film absolutely was. And the embodiment of the United States decision making as to what are they going to do. That's Rick. That is, the allegory there is the character of Rick. being on the fence, seeing, number one, seeing what's happening around the world, not taking a stand, waiting for something to change my mind, and then I'm all in. Then I'm going to do what I need to do. So yeah, not nearly as fun as Hogan's Heroes. I know. But Adam Gray, someday we'll talk about Hogan's Heroes because I do find some redemptive qualities there. We did talk about it a little bit when we reviewed The Great Escape. So if you haven't seen our review on The Great Escape, please go back. We've had a lot of World War II. We've had The Great Escape, Sink the Bismarck. What else? We've had a couple of others.
Right, Rommel.
Yeah, we've had a lot of World War II. So yeah, go back and watch our review on The Great Escape.
But they've always been old ones. We've not had any new war movies. We've always had the older war movies. We've not had a modern. We've not had a modern one. Like we got. I'm guessing.
Do we have
Private
Apocalypse
Ryan
Now? Yeah,
must be on
Private
there.
Ryan.
We have.
I don't
We have.
think
We have.
Private Ryan is on there.
Oh, don't we?
Is it? It might be, but I didn't think it.
We have Vietnam movies. They're definitely on there. Like, yeah. So yeah, we've not had any modern day interpretations of the Second World War.
Yes, we have Saving Private Ryan. I put it on.
Oh, good.
There you go. So,
yep. And we have Sergeant York. Since you mentioned it, we definitely have Sergeant York on there.
That was me. I put that on there.
Oh yeah.
That's him. No, I only say that because that would be always top 10. One of my top 10 movies of all time. I love that movie. Yeah. When I first watched it, I was like, that's a movie. Sorry. Just when we get to it, I might go, yay. Yay. There's going to be ones you go, yay, I want to talk about that. So yeah, it's one of those ones. And Jay, you've never seen it, so guaranteed.
No, never seen
it. Anyway, let's get back to Casablanca. Back to Casablanca. So now, before we get into Casablanca, I understand what they were doing in the movie. It's because she's come to look. We need help. We need papers. It's kind of like we're in trouble. Now Victor might be taken. He might be taken. That
he can only help if he's out. If he can only do what he needs to do but he has to get away from.
So everybody's kind of like how they make it out is everybody's conversion on the couple Victor especially to take him away. Then they don't want him to be a propaganda method for the Free French. But I always found, and I probably found it more from this rewatch, this last 20 minutes of the movie, because it's not a very long movie. I found this a bit rushed. I found they didn't put it and I mean rushed by it doesn't feel like there's a chase. It just feels like they're rushing to the end of the movie. If that makes sense. It's not like there should have been that. You get them movies that are there's a chase element and they can go on for 30 minutes. You're like, oh, that was epic. But this needed that. I think needed a bit more of that oomph to the movie because it just felt
a little
like
bit more peril, threat, like more of a threat.
Yeah, because it's still the pace of the movie is still what you had on the middle of the movie. Everything is still, it's just gradually getting there, but they rushed to the end. It just felt that. So when you get to the end, it felt like, oh, we're at the end.
I think you're right. I think I didn't realize that. And there's this kind of obvious fixation on getting the papers and being able to get out, and versus like this is not an action film, right? This is a intellectual kind of film that it's a chess game. Trying to figure your way out to get out and find the right person to help you to get out. But you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it, like it did move really fast toward the end, and I won't jump ahead, but when we get there, the end does feel abrupt. It really does because the film it doesn't feel as long as it is as a film. Like because the writing is so good and concise and a lot happens in a short period of time.
But again, it's the iconic looks, the iconic lighting, the iconic lines that
Mhm.
does it. That people remember the end, but I just felt it was, like this bit that I brought when they're in the bar. I think it's forgotten. I completely forgot this bit because you remember the bit at the airport, I suppose, like the no, but this bit is where they make out Rick is about to betray them.
Mhm.
It's like that. So he's played his hand with the captain, and he's there. Wait in a room, wait for everybody to come, but then they turn up, and then of course, they have a little bit of back and forth. Here's the papers. We had them here all the time, and then of course, what Rick does, what you kind of wouldn't expect him, because we've not seen this. I suppose it's out of character. I suppose he's not pulled. He's not being aggressive. He's being smart, but he
Mhm.
doesn't need to be aggressive. This is the first time now, maybe because it's for love. We've been like that at this time, but this is the first that pulls a pistol, and he pulls a pistol on an officer. So
Mhm.
like you got to think, like, we don't know.
There's
We
only
know
2 ways this can end,
yeah,
and,
yeah, exactly.
one of us is going down.
Yeah, so like, yeah, when he does it to the captain, you like that. So he kind of the old pistol in the pocket takes all of them to the airport. The captain kind of just kind of stamps the forms to make sure they can take the flights to Lisbon. And of course, then they have their a very iconic like speech between the ex-lovers, I suppose, like that. So it's and she wants to kind of stay, but he's kind of like, Victor needs you, like that. Make sure it's that they're both, and yeah, we always have Paris and all that again, isn't it? It's the memory of who we are. It's a good written scene. It is a very
Mhm.
iconic. It's very classical, like that period of a movie to have seen. But it's very well shot. This is very
Yeah.
they got the fog, they've got the lighting, they got the hats like that to give that effect of like emotion. It's very well done. Like it's probably like today's kind of dialogue is very corny, but because where it's set and what it is, it does work very well. So
This
like
scene
that.
even became,
Mm,
like, I think for a time, the icon or logo for Turner Classic Movies, right? I mean, it was
mm.
these 2, outlines of their figures with the hats that is so iconic and, different, and then it became more of the Dick Tracy hat later. But yeah, you could just see the silhouettes and know exactly what film you're in when you see this. Um, the the This is where for me it did feel abrupt, although it
Mm.
wasn't. This felt like, oh no, okay, I know what's gonna happen. She's gonna leave. He's gonna, but there should have been more between. You kind of wanted to see more between them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And this for me was, as you said, this is the iconic scene. So for me, knowing of Casablanca, but not ever having watched it before this viewing for this stream, this was something that is going into Casablanca. My thought was, oh yeah,
Mhm.
there's some airplane scene with the two people. Like I knew this just because it's that iconic. You have seen it on, like you said, the Turner Classic Movies logo and all that. I think there was even some commercials. There's like one random commercial that I can kind of remember from back in the day where they use this, but they kind of dub over with different voices,
Mhm.
promoting some silly
Probably a
product or
coffee
whatever it was.
commercial.
Mm.
I
Sounds
want to
like
say it was like a pizza commercial for some reason, but I can't remember. I could be totally wrong, but I remember it being for some commercial for something. Maybe I'd have to look it up and see what it was. I'm sure it's been used many times, but this was the iconic, image in my mind going into it, and it was really nice to kind of see it in its entirety. One, in just the entirety of the scene because I had never seen it before, but two, with the entirety of the movie itself, the story, the love interest between these two. I think it's a really good ending, because it's not a happy ending necessarily for these two's love story. It's a
Mm.
bit of like one, if you love something, you got to set it free type of deal, but also an understanding of the greater good going on in the world
There's a
that they're in
world
right
war
now.
going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And his line about the, the happiness of, or the lives of three people means nothing. It means, what is it? A hill of
Doesn't
beans or
mean a hill of
something.
beans.
But yeah, I'm like, oh, that's a really, a really good line, a good way to kind of show, Rick, who at the beginning, in that first scene when he's kind of drinking his sorrows away, is very just concerned about his loss of love of this girl, of this woman. It's now evolved over the course of the movie where he does understand. And that's something she had kind of said to him earlier. Like, I wanted to tell you because I figured you'd understand, given who you are. And by the end of it, he does understand that what she did or what she had to do at the time. And also that they're small potatoes in the grand scheme of things. Their love really doesn't matter to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Her being there to help this guy be the best he can be, whatever influence or muse she might be to him, is far more important than him getting the happy ending he wants. So again, just really good character development, a really nice, I think, ending in terms of a realistic way, to tie these ends off versus just, oh, and Victor gets on the plane and these two live happily ever after in Casablanca.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like, it is a very set up very iconically is like that, because I must say I always forget the next bit like that is because you get like the German officer turn like that. They're the same, like they're hunting them down, but they don't do the hunting down. It's like how they found out they must be at the airport, but there's no things like that. So we kind of get, like the goodbye, the German officer turns up, and Rick again pulls a gun, well, his pistol, on the officer. He shoots him.
He's in it now. Now he's in it. He's all in.
And now, but you kind of get the captain. It's kind of like you're now part of the freedom movement. So now you kind of know the captain is at the same point when he does this is kind of got he's playing his own cards, been all the way through this. Yeah, he's been playing his own cards. So we get, of course, the aircraft go out, and then another, as they're walking off, it's because it's so quick, the ending like that. I've just got it up here. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
And then we get that one. Yep.
Yeah.
Louis. Then and you find out his name is Louis because we've been calling him Captain Louis. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Yep.
Yeah, because they realize, well, I'm not done. You're going to cover for me, but one, you're going to make some money. I'm going to make some money. But like, it's again, it's one of those iconic, again, little phrases that we all have through this, through the Casablanca. So yeah, it's a very short movie. I forgot. And it's one of those ones that is very epic, but it is, I mean, not epic, I suppose, classic, but it's a very short movie. I suppose it's I suppose like in the things where you have a propaganda movie with the newsreels at the start, definitely probably a B movie, and then this, it probably a nice timing for it. But yes, Sandy, have you got your cards?
I've got my cards. I'm sharing my screen. All right. So I mentioned that this was based on an unproduced play. So while there's not a book, there's a script out there somewhere. You can get the script. I did a lot of research. You can get copies of the script, but you can get actual original scripts. There were a number of them printed. They come up at auctions from time to time for hundreds or at least tens of thousands of dollars. So quite a bit of movie memorabilia if you can get an original script for Everybody Comes to Rick's. Written by Murray Burnett and Joan Allison, who did also get credits as writers for the Oscar that was they won an Oscar for writing. So in addition to the screenwriters, Julius Epstein and Howard Cook, Murray Burnett and Joan Allison also won Oscars. And it was directed by Louis Cortez, starring all these people that we've talked about, and that we'll see in other films that may pop up on the Wheel of Film, which is kind of cool. Now, when we go to the numbers, do we think this was a box office hit? Do we think that a lot of people wanted to go see a war film during a war? Well, let me pull that up.
I'm gonna
I'm going to say
guess
it was critically
no.
acclaimed, and then no.
It was a box office hit. So
Wow,
definitely
interesting.
because
See, I
remember
almost
back
wanted
then
to
You
say
played
yes,
it
but the
like,
way you
yeah.
posed it made me want to say no.
well, people
Yeah, I was
wanted to
like,
go to
"Oh,
the movies. People
trick,
wanted to go
a
to the
trick."
movies.
No,
They
yeah,
wanted
escapism, right? I mean, that's always
okay,
been a movie.
escapism right into the war.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
not the best movie to get escapism, but yeah, I mean, I guess people
But a
just want
love
to see a story,
story.
right? Like a love story,
I'm
something that just
guessing this is
takes you out of kind of the reality of what's going on. So fair enough.
US box office hit, and then later, I'm guessing a European
Yeah,
hit. I'm guessing,
it did have a worldwide release.
Hmm.
It was made for a budget of just under $1 million. So in 1941, that's actually a big budget. And which was equivalent to $19 million
So
today.
that is interesting because you said it they're mostly sets. So
Yeah,
like you think
mostly.
they would have been very pre-purpose, or they would have used lot sets, but I'm guessing that must have been the stars of the day like that. So yeah, maybe I don't know. Like, could you
Yeah,
think about?
they weren't filming in France
Yeah,
and
no,
Marrakesh at the time.
yeah,
But it made 4.7 million, equivalent of $94 million today. So about 5 times. It made about 5 times its budget. So that's definitely a success. It was nominated for 13. I'm sorry, it was nominated for 8 Academy Awards and a few other awards, and it won for Best Picture in 1943. I'm guessing it was released in late 1942 because it was on the top 10 list for 42 and 43.
Mm.
So it must have been running in the theaters at the end of 1942 into 1943. But it won the Oscar 1943 Best Picture, Best Director for Curtiz, Best Writing for all the writers that we've talked about, and a host of other nominations, including, I did want to point out, for the score, for cinematography, for photography, for editing, for a lot of other things, and Humphrey Bogart for lead actor, but he did not win. And those who are studying film production today and cinematography today will always reference Casablanca for the use of camera dollies and the zoom in, zoom out by use of the camera, and the particular lighting and set design of this film are considered groundbreaking for the industry.
Now, our thoughts. Now, I'm going to leave Jay to last. Sandy, let's go for you first, then myself, and then Jay, as it was your first time watch. Let's do it that time. Let's go a different way around this time. Go anti-clockwise.
Uh-oh.
Sandy.
Can you still hear me?
Oh, we can indeed.
Okay, my screen just shut off and came back on.
Okay.
So this was a real treat because I feel like sometimes I think I know a film, but I look at a film differently when I'm preparing to come and talk to both of you about it. I'm Every time I look at a film, I'm always looking at the history piece. But I've learned from chatting with both of you to look at things like the set design and the lighting and all the technicalities that I probably have never looked at in a film, and the artisticness. I really do appreciate the way this film was shot, and I find the acting of this era to be slightly annoying, but I understand why it is the way it is because that was the state of acting then. Um, it was not subtle. It was a little over the top. Humphrey Bogart is being Humphrey Bogart in some cases. But I could forgive all of that. I could totally forgive all of that and really appreciate this film for what it was, for where it was in the history of film, for where it was as a work of art. I'm so glad I read some of the other criticism because it made me look at the care that was given to the lighting, to the set design, to the way the cameras worked, to the mix of the score and the songs. And yes, while I was watching it, I was rolling my eyes every time I heard a quote that we've heard a million times, but I have to remember again that this film originated those quotes. So this film is not a cliche. The film is the film that the other cliches are based on. This is a film I want to sit down with my kids and watch again because they're just starting to appreciate more than just the action films they're starting to appreciate a little bit of the technical and the artistic work in film. So I definitely want to sit down with my girls and watch this film. I give it a 7.5, which is a good rating. I know it's on some lists in the top 10, and some even call it the best film ever made. For me, the areas that it you know probably don't quite get to the tippy top rating is just a little bit of the writing that just seems a little too, I don't want to use the word cliche, but just leaves a bit out, where there could be some room for some more interesting dialogue. But overall, I think this is it's a wonderful film. It's definitely a recommend. Go watch this film. For historical accuracy, now this is interesting because it's not a history film. It's a film trying to make history. So think about that. It's a propaganda film. This is a film trying to shape history. Um, for when it was filmed, it was as accurate as it could be given where it was. So I give it a B- for historic accuracy. The one area that we did talk about where they're very inaccurate, we didn't know that yet. We didn't know those events were occurring. So we can forgive them for that. So a B- and a 7.5.
I'm guessing Davyverse has just asked you a question, curveball question. I'm guessing would you like a remake?
No, fantastic question. This is one of those films I would never want remade because I feel like if it were remade, someone would try to be correcting things that make this film the way it is. So the exact way it was shot, the lighting, the fact that, yes, driving through Paris, there's definitely a screen in the back. No, that all has to stay here because the film itself is history. Like, don't remake something that in and of itself is history, like a Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane in and of itself is historic for what it accomplished. So don't mess with it. Same thing here. I would say do not mess with this film. Excellent question, Davyverse.
Now, to me, this is a hard one. Now, you just said Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane, I adore. I adore rewatching it. I think it's a historical film. Like, I mean, historically shot film, historically acted, historically directed. The script is amazing. I think that is thing. Now, this one is weird because I would have downgraded this on a rewatch. And this is really weird because it's a classic. It is a classic, and I love the shots. I love how it's directed. And then I go by the story. The story, if actually, is quite weak, but everything around it is very well done. So if I did it like now, I'm going to have to use two brains here. I'm going to have to use my geeky, film brain. If I use that, it's a 7. It's a firm 7. I love it. I think it's got weak parts in it. I think Sandy just said it. Completely agree. But then if I went for a rewatch, I'm going to knock it down a point because when I rewatched it, I was like, you know what? I've not as enjoyed it so much. I don't know why. So maybe next time it might jump up a number. But this was a 6. Now you just said Citizen Kane. That is always leveled out. It's always that. I'm never going to change my mind about that. Every time I enjoy it, I love it. But this one, just on this rewatch, I don't know if it was just maybe I'm not in the right. I wasn't in the right frame of mind. It was like a classic, and I was really looking forward to it. I just felt I was like, oh, just feel dated now. I don't know why, and I like we've gone through the parts that you can forgive. I just don't know why. I would knock it down to a 6, but then I go. But I highly recommend it. I highly recommend this movie. Like it is like if you love movies or you get into movies, you have to watch this movie. Like Sandy just said, like it'd be great. I can't wait. Like there's these, like I can't wait for my kid. Like he's only 3 at the moment, but when he gets to the age where these are the movies. This is on it. This is on my list. You sit down and watch this movie, and you'll, this is gonna, you've got to watch it. It's one of those ones. But yeah, it's. I like it. I just can't give it that score. And I like as it's a classic. You actually think about the classics like out there that we know, and they're always like an 8, a 9, or something like that. Like this one is a low, like Sandy, you give it like 7.5. Like if you think about the classic, The Godfathers, we know they're classics. Other black and white movies, like I'm guessing Citizen Kane is going to be a high number. We'll get to that later if it goes on the wheel. But it's a very thing because it is a classic, but it's a very like we're giving them a good score. Like we always said that we don't overscore things, but it's still not. Oh, it's classic because of the way it's shot, the way it looks, the iconic scenes. But I just found the story a bit dry. And I think that's after the rewatch. I just found it like that. And as you said, like the acting, maybe I didn't notice. Like I haven't watched it for years, but the acting is a bit. Oh, you're good actors, things like that. And I know Bogart, some of his acting, like we said, African Queen. Some of them, like I watch him and you've ruined the movie like that, but because he's being Bogart. And like this one, he just on the cusp, he gets away with it. And I think he gets away with it because it looks good. It looks good.
And he's more understated in this film. Like he
Yeah.
dials it back. He dials back his Bogart-ness, his Bogart diddy.
Yeah.
He dials it back.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's a 7, but after a rewatch, it's a 6. So I'm gonna be diplomatic. I'll give it a 6.5, and it's like that. But that is after rewatch. So this is why I put Jay last, because it's quite interesting that I felt that after a rewatch. And how did you feel?
So for me, obviously, like you said, this is a first time watch. So let me start by saying I did enjoy it. And I also appreciate finally giving this movie a chance, given its iconic status in the, history of film. I very much appreciate the fact, like you said, it does feel a little bit dated, but as I said earlier, I appreciate the fact that it does, just because for this movie, it just kind of works. It all seems to fit. It's not, to answer Davey's question, it's not one that I'd like to see remade nowadays. I think the fact that it came out kind of during the war, and as Sandy pointed out, even some of the information, they got wrong about certain things because we just didn't have that information yet. I think that kind of gives it a little bit of a special nature to it, where it really captures that time period. This wasn't something that was made in the 60s about World War II or in the 70s about World War II. This was right smack dab in the happenings of it. So that's kind of a really unique thing about it that I think, makes this very interesting as far as a film goes, especially with the subject matter it's covering. Now, in terms of the kind of technical side of it, I think there's things that were really good and things that I didn't love as much. Like the use of lighting, I thought was brilliant. To see lighting used so well in a black and white movie of all things, which, again, I haven't watched many black and white movies, so maybe this is something that this movie set the standard for that I'll see a lot of as we watch more of them. But I thought it was really interesting to see how they used lighting in a movie without color, because they do it really effectively. As Stacey's pointed out, some of the things like having Rick's character kind of half shadow, half in the light a lot of the time, given his kind of neutral nature and as his character. Same for the female lead, whose name I'm forgetting again, being Ilsa, being more having more light on her and all that, and all the way to Victor, who's like always in light because he's the good character and all that kind of thing. I thought that's really interesting. I did notice some of the camera kind of panning and zooming stuff that seems like it was attributed to the tracks that they would use, which Sandy was pointing out earlier, which, again, that kind of stuff I thought was really good and really interesting, and you can definitely appreciate it given that this was 1940, I think, late 40, you said, when it was being filmed.
41, 42.
Yeah,
released
so
in 42.
Given the time frame, a lot of that is really impressive. Where I start to have my issues with it is stuff like you guys mentioned. The acting of this time is a bit tough. It just feels almost like soap opera or like stage acting to a degree. Like it's just a little over the top, a little on the nose. So it does, but that's not a fault of this movie alone. It's this era of Hollywood, this era of movies, this era of acting. So again, like all kind of the movies from this time that I do see, that's always a little bit of an issue with me, but you can look past it. You can accept it for what it is and kind of just keep watching and all that. I will say the Rick character, is it Humphrey Bogart? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't love his acting in this. It felt, again, a little cliche, like just the one-liners, the dialogue wasn't great. And if we don't want to say cliche just because this was the kind of originator of a lot of, stuff that would come out of it or afterwards from it, cheesy might be the word that I
Cheesy,
use
mhm.
instead. Yeah, it just feels a little bit cheesy. Some of his one-liners and his lines. It's not that they didn't end up being iconic, like here's to you, or what is it? Here's to you,
Here's
kid. Or
looking
here's
at you, kid.
Here, I was gonna say thinking. Here's
Oh,
looking
look
at you,
at you,
kid. Like,
kid.
yeah, he's almost got that like old-timey kind of 1920s American gangster type of way of speaking to that. Just, I don't know, it just came off a little bit cheesy. So I didn't love his character. I did like the story. It's not overly complicated. It's a simple little love story set in wartime. There's nothing too crazy to it. I liked the kind of twist it takes at the end and the way he ends up helping the two as opposed to what you think might happen type of thing. It's not the craziest twist, but it was a nice little extra layer of, as his plans kind of unfolding, you're not really sure which way it's going as an audience member. You're kind of making your guesses as to what it might be, but he keeps kind of flipping the script a little bit, which I liked.
Mhm.
So I give it a 6, a very strong 6. I did like it. I'm happy I watched it, and I would recommend it. I think as a film nerd that I am, it was long overdue for me to watch this one, given the fact that it's kind of a classic piece. And I would recommend anybody else who is a film nerd or really into film that it's definitely one you should watch, given its iconic status. Was it groundbreaking for me watching it the first time now? No, but I can understand how it was at its time. I think that's something you have to have an open mind with when you're looking at it. If you haven't already seen it yet. If you've grown up watching this multiple times, I'm sure you already fully understand that and appreciate it for that. But yeah, so having that perspective of, never having seen it and watching it now, I can definitely appreciate everything that it was, everything that it did, and everything that it started. But in terms of my own personal entertainment and watching it now, I put it at about a 6, which again it's a good solid score. I know people hold it a lot in, much higher. But that's just where I'm coming from watching it in 2025 for the first time.
Yeah, I would never have, even when I said I've downgraded. I it's not a top 20 movie for me. I know people have gone
No,
like
me
it's a
either.
classic. It's not. There are things I think Bogart kind of The Big Sleep. I love the Big Sleep. Not Bogart in The Big Sleep. I hate that. And like Stone Cold, you just kind of think like that. Yeah, he's that kind of like, I don't know why he reminds me just he does that Private Eye. He's the Private Eye. He's that thing. I
could see him as that, and that kind of old timey like, see, like that kind of era.
There's so
James
many
Cagney,
he does like
yeah.
that. Yeah, like even in like if you go African Queen, I think he's miscast in it.
I do too.
I don't think,
because I love Katharine Hepburn and I don't like him in the African Queen.
I think I don't get how he got to be a leading man. And I'm not disrespecting his ability to act. I just don't see him as a leading man. I've never have. I just see him as in the movie as it. And then when he does stuff, like there's a lot of novels they did that are really good, like at that period that he's been in. Oh, he ruins the movie because he's not the character in the book. He's playing himself in.
Yep.
He's just doing the same thing. He's been Bogart. So he's been subtly removed from this. I'm not a fan of him. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan. And I can take Casablanca, but like as you say, like African Queen, put another actor into it, it's still the same movie. That Bogart doesn't need to be into it. So I think he's an not speaking ill. I think he's an overrated actor of his time. I think there are so many superior actors that could have led the role better. And I in this one, he feels a bit too old for the part. slightly.
He
And
definitely looks a little bit too old for the
Mm.
part as well in this, for sure.
yeah, but he always does. He looks like, even when like, if you look at him like somebody when he's younger, he's one of these people like
He's
you
always
think
looked old.
you looked old, and when
Yeah.
you were older, you still looked old. Like you still look like when you were like, if he was in his 20s, you still look that when you were in your 60s. How has this happened? Like that. So it's yeah, it's. But the thing is, like these. Again, this is one of those ones. I think not having you could not have this on the wheel.
Mhm.
This is a stable classic. If you want to know how to direct with lighting, with like we now know about the dollies and all that, it's like this is a staple. This is a staple if you ever want to be in movies. If any aspect of it, like the clothing, we missed out that. Like it looks good. Like the everything. Like the set design is great in this. Like it doesn't feel like it's on a set, if that makes sense. It feels like all of it's on location. It's very good. Like how they feel the placements, the I suppose the supporting acting cast is better than the main three cast.
I would agree there.
I
I would
think you're
definitely
absolutely
agree
right.
there.
Yeah.
From the
So
people, from Sam to Carl to
yeah.
there's, I think that's part of one of my issues with it as well, is that the main three actors just their characters come off a bit bland. So I just couldn't really get too into, any kind of connections with any of them, or even their love triangle itself. It felt like it was just lacking some emotion that really should have been there.
It'd be like having Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock in a movie now, and you go, "Oh yes," and then like because like that, they're not very good actors like that.
Yeah,
But they're like that. That is kind of modern day like that. We know from Speed, they work together in Speed. The acting in Speed is atrocious. But one thing you'd like about it, you like the movie Speed. Like that,
Yeah,
yeah,
fair enough.
you the other thing is you can sit down and watch it and go, that's funny. Is it a classic? No, but this has become a classic, I think, for other reasons than the acting. We know the actors in it. I don't think it's as it should be a more iconic. I think if they had I know it's like in the wartime and like what actors they had available are different, especially but this is before the American introduced themselves to the Second World War, so they've got a good cast. I just think they went for Bogart just because it was Bogart. And like, did he have that much attraction? I won't know, but like, yeah, it's 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 a I think we've all but all three of us said, and I think chat, I think you all agree, it's a recommend. I don't think even if you were like, even if you gave it a 5 or even less, you wouldn't say, oh, don't watch this movie. It's one of those ones where it's so iconically classic and it introduced so much more to the other genres, other influences throughout like movie history, that you can't say, no, I don't recommend this. I think it's
I
always a
agree.
recommend. Yeah.
I want to share one more screenshot, because James, you were talking last week about a family connection that you discovered while we were researching the prior film, and that your girlfriend had discovered an ancestor who died on the hood.
Yep.
So I had looked up whether Humphrey Bogart served in World War I, and not only the answer is yes, he did serve in World War I, which, and you know what, that also plays into, I think, some actors where we say they look older than they are. My brain always goes to, did they serve in war? Because people I know who look older than they are, it's because they've served. Humphrey Bogart did serve in the war. He enlisted when he was 18 and served in World War I from the spring of 1918 until the end of the war. And at the end of the war, he was stationed on the ship Leviathan, which was a huge transport ship that moved troops back and forth between the Americas. Now, while he was not stationed on the Leviathan when my great-grandfather was transferred during prior to the Battle of the Meuse Argonne. So, by the way, another film reference, that's the battle that is illustrated in the film Wonder Woman. And actually, I thought it was done incredibly well, the no man's land scene in Wonder Woman, where
Yep.
my great grandfather was shot and wounded, and then ended up convalescing in France until the end of the war. He wasn't well enough to be transported back home. He wasn't transported on the same ship that Humphrey Bogart was on, but he went over to Europe on the Leviathan in the largest Atlantic crossing in the history of the world, with 11,000 troops on one ship. And it ended up being the ship that he was. So they weren't on the same ship at the same time, but a little bit across history there. And thanking Mr. Bogart for his service in our Navy, because I have a photo of my great grandfather in that exact same uniform, because he was also in the Navy. So I thought I'd just share.
Yeah. There you go. There you
Now
go.
I'm going to ask one more
Always
question.
collection. Oh, go on then.
There's
Your
one more
questions.
question. Reflect back. You see any Star Wars in this film? See any of this film in Star Wars? So I want to, or okay, the more obvious question: do you see any Raiders of the Lost Ark in this film? Which we
only
obviously
because
did.
no, I would say not Raiders. I would say Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah, Obi-Wan. The bar Obi-Wan.
Nothing's coming to mind for me.
I would say bar Obi-Wan. You change out the China. Are they Chinese? They are Chinese, aren't they? In Hong Kong,
Sri Lanka. It's another.
No, in Temple of Doom, the baddies, they are China. Anyway, if you change them out to be German, and they wanted to make it different, and that is literally it's Rick's bar, kind of like that. You got kind of like that, except for Sam changed them to like the difference. Yeah, I can that, but I think it's because of how Rick is dressed, and I'm guessing that is that's it. Star Wars, you got very much the musical tones between them all, but very subtly. I wouldn't have directly said it, but maybe with the Germans when they came in the first time into his bar, you got that dum dum dum.
Jay, what do you did you see anything Lucas-esque or Spielberg-esque?
I'm trying to think.
Anything you think they stole or took, borrowed?
Nothing's really coming to mind.
Oh my god! You on about the beginning with the map? Well,
no, I'm not on about that.
No.
I think several films did that, but yes, I love in Raiders of the Lost Ark, I love the map scene. So the shot of Marrakesh just reminds me of a lot of the trading bazaar in Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Okay, yeah.
Slightly different parts of the world. References in Raiders of the Lost Ark to where can you sell a stolen artifact? Marrakesh. You can sell it in Marrakesh. But overall, the idea of this town where all these refugees are just trying to get home or get away and doing some swindling and doing some dirty dealing. They're bars. There's this bars full of, thieves and pirates. I was feeling a little Mos Eisley. That's just me. I did look it up. There's no reference whatsoever. There's no influence whatsoever. But I guess for me, kind of, this town where,
scum and villainy.
Everyone, minds their own business. They're all from all over the world. They, you don't kind of care what they're doing there or getting in and out. I was just thinking of some kind of pirate's den, like a Mos Eisley. But we also know, and Spielberg in one of the reviews I found, Spielberg did a whole section on the writing and how much he admired the writing of the script and how tight it was. And again, some of the influences on future cinematography are often commented on. I think we find this film in a lot of places, and whether we know it or not, and we certainly find all the quotes in a lot of places, and the misquotes in a lot of places. I'm glad I'm glad we.
The wheel does what the wheel does.
Exactly. The wheel.
Yeah, it
And are
was.
we
It was
ready?
about time I finally watched this one. So this was a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
pick. I'm glad I finally got to see it.
But apart from that, are we ready for the wheel? People, are we ready?
So just a reminder
ready.
before we pick. So unfortunately, I can't do next week. So we'll figure out what we're gonna do.
No. I've got a plan.
I thought
Jay's
you
gonna
might.
I might have a plan. Jay, you might need. I'm gonna when we press the button at the end. I'm gonna announce my plan. Sandy's gonna hate my plan because she want to be in the plan. The plan is something that we've not got on the wheel, but something I know Jay loves.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, there you go. So what's it? But are we ready? Are we ready for now? Next week, the only connection I've got so far is both movies start with the letter C. Now,
We always have some connection.
if chat can work out, there's a connection between Casablanca and Critters, you win a prize. What that prize might be is to be decided. But if you can work out a connection, except for the letter C, we're not because I can't fathom that there would be any connection between those movies. But the wheel does what the wheel does, and the wheel probably found the connection that we've not found yet. But there might be a connection in this film with Critters. I think we've got it's spoof horror comedy satire for Critters. I'm glad because we've had serious for the moment, so it'd be quite good. I kind of want to though, like with Jay, I kind of want animated. It would be good. We've not had
that'd be
animated
great.
in there. It
Yeah.
would be, yeah.
We can get Tarzan. I do love the music in that movie.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's got to be of that. Otherwise, we're gonna have to have a Western like that. But are we ready, people? Are we ready? Are you ready? So let's do this. So we're gonna talk about my plan after this. But
I'm excited.
So it's gonna be Jay's got to agree. Sandy's having a break. Then Critters, so 2 weeks, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Can't be another World War II film.
Oh,
yes!
Oh, speaking of Keanu Reeves,
good one.
Yes,
perfect.
Okay,
all right. I've been wanting to rewatch this lately too, so that is perfect.
There we go. Oh, there we go.
So talk about music.
The Matrix. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, so somewhere. Okay, hang on. I know it wasn't Max Steiner that wrote the score to The Matrix, but I think in one of the criticisms I watched on Casablanca, someone who was talking about his work, I think, was the person who wrote the score for The Matrix. So hang on. As soon as I see the name, I'm going to remember who wrote the score for The Matrix.
But there you go. We actually, how did I referenced Keanu Reeves. The wheel listened and the wheel gave us The Matrix.
Wow.
Now, this is another movie, though, that has iconic quotes that we just watched.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of a bit of things that we will know. Oh, this is thing. Now, I'm guessing Jay was too. Oh, Jay, you were too young to see this at the cinema. Jay's not there.
I was old enough to see it in the cinema. Yeah. I saw it in the cinema, and it was freaking amazing. Oh my gosh!
Now, what year was this released?
1999.
99. Oh, what was I doing? I don't know why.
Because you were probably partying. Like it's
because all my friends watched this at the cinema, and I didn't, and I don't know why I didn't. There had to be something. No, I wasn't. No, because I joined 2000, just before and then I went 2000. Sorry, I joined 2001 just before September 11th. Like, so I was May 2001. That's when my service started. So I don't know why. There's got to be something. I just never saw it at the cinema, and all my friends were like, "Oh, you've got to see this." And then by the time I never got to it, I don't know what I was doing, and it really pisses me off this day that I never went to see it at cinema. So I was there. So that's it.
It would be one of those, like, we do have some nice like dinner theater movies, like where you can go have a nice sit down dinner. What do they call those? Cinema cafe, whatever. And there are certain films that I'm always looking. If they're at the Cinema Cafe, which is like an hour and a half drive from me, I'm going to see The Matrix again in the cinema because one time
what's it called? In the UK, like it's called Secret Cinema. I don't think they've ever done it. What they do is like reenact all the cinema kind of the things. So it's
the good ones.
Yeah. So it's there. It's Jay back. Jay. No,
yes, sorry, I am back.
Oh, no,
I had to go take care of something real quick.
There you go.
Jay, did you ever see The Matrix in the theater?
In theater, no. I saw The Matrix. I know I always do this to you guys, but I was too young to see The Matrix in the theater when it first came out.
It was 1999.
So I watched it. I was too young for theater, so I ended up watching it later on.
It was so good in the theater. It was so good in the theater.
No. Has anybody seen the new one? I got like halfway through and I turned it off.
No, it just didn't look appealing. To be honest, I didn't really care for the second or the third one either.
No, they're watchable, but they're a bit boring, aren't they?
The cool thing about The Matrix is the newness of the idea. Like it's the same thing with Jurassic Park. Like you can only do that once with the newness of the idea. And once you've seen it, then it's like, I don't want to see it again, and done poorly after that. Well,
just felt very different too. The second one just felt immediately like the whole tone of it, everything. It just felt entirely different than the first.
It
wasn't the same.
No, I completely
what
agree.
Was it? So two was Reloaded. Matrix.
2 was.
I was getting Reloaded and
Revolution.
Oh God,
was
I forget.
Reloaded. No, Revolution's the new one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Loaded and Reloaded? No, that was the
Resurrection.
Reloaded was 2.
I always get that confused because I always think the Metallica.
Resurrection and Revolution, right?
I'm not even sure. Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Oh my God. Reload. There we go. Chat. Go. Is it reload? This Reloaded because there was Loaded and Reloaded was the Metallica albums. I'm sure they came out around about the same time. And I always got confused which ones to watch. Is it? Oh my God. Reload. Is it Reloaded and?
It's Matrix, Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolution. And there's one in the middle. What's the one in the middle? Hang on. I'm on Wikipedia now. I thought it was Resurrection, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's Terminator Resurrection. One of them was a Resurrection. Matrix. Come on. And it's Don Davis, by the way. We began this when I had mentioned the composer. Okay, the Matrix franchise. Okay, it's oh my God. I don't want the comics. Yes, Resurrection. I told you.
It's Resurrection.
The Matrix, the Matrix Reloaded, the Matrix Revolution, the Matrix Resurrection.
There you go.
Yeah.
Reloaded Revolution.
Resurrection.
Too many R's.
If they ever decide to do a completely new one, they have to call it Matrix Rebooted because it actually kind of works for the idea of Matrix.
It would.
It would be actually a pretty good name.
So they did one called The Revisited that went straight to video. So in 2001, The Matrix Revisited went right to video. Who knew that?
I did like the Matrix Reloaded video game. That was good. It was better than the movie was, if you ask me. But that I like.
You know what? Because there's so many R's. I mean, sorry, I'm directly talking to the British chat here. Only Fools and Horses, whack hell, and they will know what I'm on about. Crying. And that's all I have to say. Carry on.
Okay.
All right. Moving on.
They guarantee they know what I'm on about. That's it.
Abe, I would have put RRR on the Wheel of Film, but one
Would
or
make
both
it
of
hard.
them would kill me because it's a 3.5-hour film. But has
Is
anyone
it?
seen RRR?
I've heard Chris Gore talk
It
about
is
it all the
amazing.
time, but I never ended up watching
It's
it.
on my list to watch, but I've never had
Yeah, it's been
time
like
to
that
go.
for me.
No,
It's
yeah.
on the list, floating around there somewhere. Eventually, I will
Yeah.
get to it. Just haven't yet.
It
Mhm.
is amazing, and I can't proclaim to have watched a lot of Bollywood. Pretty much the
Yeah, but it's not Bollywood singing, is it?
yeah, no, it's not. There's one
No,
dance
yeah.
scene that is again freaking amazing. And my kids and I have tried to do this dance. It is really hard to do that dance. But yeah,
See,
it's
look, they know.
it's
They know.
I've probably seen, Slumdog Millionaire and this one are might be the only two official Bollywood that I've seen, and I thought it was tremendous. But yeah, I wouldn't torture either of you with 3.5 hours. But if you get a chance to watch it, I highly recommend it. So thanks,
So
Abe, for taking me down that rabbit hole there on RRR.
RRR. Now, so Sandy can't make next week, but we forgive you. We forgive you. Family
appreciate
commitment.
it.
We forgive
I'll
you.
be in
Look.
Florida.
Hold it. I don't know what that means. Hold it. No, we're doing that.
Wadney, is there a oh?
Wadney.
Hello, Reckless Wolf. How are
don't know.
you?
It'd be Wetcliffe Wolf. That would be it. Everybody else. See, look. Everybody.
Weckless. Weckless.
No. Oh my God. There's a Only Fools. You both heard Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a scene. There's a one of it where they get a singer and he can't pronounce his R's and they do crying. The move crying, but it's like quiet because he can't pronounce his I. And he's with a Wadney and Weckel. Rodney and Weckel. So yeah, it's a thing. So yeah. Now, just to let you know, she did say she was going to bed, so I'm guessing she's quite tired. Oh look, there you go. Hello, Mrs. Daces. There we go.
It's okay.
But yeah.
I'll text you later.
Yeah.
And Jay, I can't wait to meet your wife.
But also, so what I was saying, so we've got a gap. So I'm gonna put this, Jay. I've noticed there's only one movie that doesn't have the original on there. It's a sequel of a movie, and you put it on there.
I did.
Yeah, and it's The Dark Knight.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so my task for you is we don't have to go for every movie. We're not going to do every movie like we do now. Batman.
Oh, just like just talking all Batman movies.
Oh
yeah,
who's the best Batman?
I'm down for
because
that.
my era is different to your era, and it things like so Batman.
Oh, that'd be
Do you
cool.
fancy Batman?
The Batman
Sandy,
special.
See, I told you. I said,
I'm out.
Oh, damn it, Batman. And now the thing is,
100%.
it's Batman and Batman versus the comic Batman as well. Fancy that, Batman?
I'm
and
down
you gotta
for that.
throw the video games in there, Jay.
Batman. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
for sure,
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
you know
I
the
mean, he's the
I'm
animated
comics.
ones.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. 100%
There we
down
go.
for that.
So next week, I'm Batman.
The comprehensive Batman. I expect
So we're gonna have a very
thorough
good chat
research on
about
both of your parts.
Batman. Is that good?
This will be great. That'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm down for that. 100%.
So there we go. So we're gonna go geek out next week then. As Sandy's not here, we're gonna geek out about Batman.
I'll be listening
Batman.
from poolside.
There you go.
Ah,
So
there you
Batman
go.
versus. So we do it movie based, but then how good are from the original comics to the games to the animated? Let's talk Batman. Lego Batman. Of course, it's got to be on there. My kid is obsessed with the Lego Batman. He loves Lego Batman.
That's a great movie. I've watched it every time. That's another movie. If it's on, I'm watching Lego Batman.
One of the few versions of Batman that I haven't watched, but I will make a point to watch it.
Go on it.
I had never really done the Lego movies much. Yeah, I had never done them much, whether it be games or the movies. But you know what? Just for this, I will make sure to make a point to watch
it. Love it.
My kid got obsessed by going around. Like it must have been at nursery or something, going, "I'm Batman, I'm Batman." I was like, "You've never watched Batman," and I was like, "You can't watch Batman because you're too young." So I put on Lego, and he loved it.
Jay,
And
you
I watched
haven't
it for the
seen?
first time, and I found it
Oh,
quite funny. There's two.
it's so
There's
funny.
there's
There's
two
Harley Quinn.
versions. But there is Lego
Well, there's the
Batman,
Lego
and there's
movie, then the
and
Lego Batman movie.
and then there's the Justice one, isn't there?
I think
That
so.
Batman, yeah, and they are
Haven't seen that
they
one.
are they do what Lego movies does.
Yep.
They give you a little bit of a laugh in a very like, oh, this is I get your adult humor whilst it's still kiddie. It's like, you know what Simpsons.
Oh, the Lego
sometimes
movie's
do.
so good. It's I'm getting excited now. I'm gonna
I've
do
never
it.
even seen
You're not
the
here.
Christopher
I won't
one.
Andy, you're not here.
It's so good though. You have to watch it. It's the whole. There's a Harley Quinn. There's the Robin. The whole story is around the Robin story, like basically wanting a dad. He just wants a dad, and he wants Batman to adopt him officially, and it's the whole thing. So yeah, I won't say anymore. It's good. It's really- He does the little, he does the little sad eyes and his little tears, the little Robin tears. Oh my God, so funny.
But isn't like it is also the Joker, doesn't he?
He does. There's the Joker. There's a few of them. Bane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bane's in
Lego
there, yeah.
Bane is. It will make your sides hurt. Lego Bane is so ridiculously funny because they mock themselves. They mock the portrayal of Bane in the movie. The because the Lego Bane can't talk either. It's so good. Oh, Jay.
Yeah,
All right,
Jay,
get ready.
definitely.
I'll be excited to watch.
There you go. So there we
that's
go.
gonna
We
be
have a
fun.
plan. There we
Nice.
go. So there we go. So I'm guessing it's going to be quite interesting because because I got that given and I brought up on the DC and Marvel comics from back in the day, and then the newer ones. Like, what is your first movie that you watched?
For me, it's most of my superhero love actually doesn't come from comics. I haven't read all that many comics in my life. It comes mostly from growing up in the age of just like insane amounts of animated versions, movie versions, all these different things, video games. So much of my fandom and knowledge of these characters comes from that. So it'll be interesting to have it contrast against somebody who knows the comic books a lot better. But in terms of my first Batman movie, I want to say would have been one of the Joel Schumacher ones. So it would have probably been Val Kilmer's Batman, but in my mind, I want to say it was unfortunately George Clooney's. Was like the first one I really watched. But as a kid in the 90s, I didn't know the quality of it. It was just fun, campy, like, oh, it's Batman, it's Mr. Freeze, Bane, all that stuff. So,
and then we have to go into
the first two.
And then we have to go into the new one with
all the way to Pattinson.
Pattinson, yeah.
Yep.
It's like that. And I think that is like I heard there's a rumor is 2027.
They just delayed it. They just delayed it again.
That is
I don't know
that is too long. That is too long. I say people will forget, and that is too long.
Like, especially after the heat, not the heat like I say heat like wrestling. The buzz surrounding the Penguin. To push it off that long is crazy to me. But
to do
I don't know.
To not have that already, I suppose, written because you okay. Whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna hope Penguin's a hit, and your next baddie got to be incorporated. The Penguin now, and not to have that already like settled of what's going on, like unless they've got like I hate to say Patterson, I know he's got the Twilight following, but otherwise than that, he's done some really shit movies. And this one, and I know a lot of people didn't like his emo Bruce Wayne. I didn't, but like how they didn't have that already, like, no, this is when we're going to start production. Like, they should be filming now. They should be filming now. It's like that because you've got to get them out, as soon as possible. And like, there's like everybody's like, like when you get them TV shows, like you go, oh, I really liked it, and then 3 years later, you're like, oh, it's back out, and you're like, I can't remember what it was about. I can't remember. And like that is like that yeah, it's too long. Like, when was
Oh,
the
it's way
movie
too
out?
long.
Like
It was
23,
2021 or
21.
I think maybe 22. Actually, I think it was 2022.
So you're looking at, like, that is
March of
ridiculous. Like
2022. So it's like, yeah, you're coming up
7
on 3
years
years
until it
here.
comes out. So yeah, that is ridiculous.
Well,
That is
I
too
think
much
I
time.
think part of it speaks to more so just WB as a company and their handling of DC properties, because this was right around when they were still trying to keep the Zack Snyder verse, even though it wasn't him helming it. You know, they were still trying to keep some of those movies going, with the Shazam and the Flash and Black Adam, and then Henry Cavill comes back for a post-credit scene, and then all of a sudden 3 weeks later he's out, and James Gunn's taking shot. Like, it's just been a total mess. I don't think they knew what they were going to do with the Batman, in terms of the Matt Reeves and
But
Robert
then Gunn
Pattinson
came
ones.
out, didn't he? Gunn came out and said, like, it will be a standalone.
Yeah,
from
it'll
what
be
I'm
like
doing.
Elseworlds.
Yeah,
It'll be separate from what I'm doing.
I think it is.
And then now there's buzz like, maybe they will have Robert Pattinson's Batman be the Batman and James Gunn's for it. It's just they just seem so indecisive about everything.
I say, like, whatever they do, I like Batman being in his own little world. I think it works out the dark, dingy Gotham. When you get superheroes coming in, I don't think Batman works that well. I like, because you got that gangster element in Batman already.
Yeah, I would say, I think for me, I think Batman, yes, is best on his own. I like when he does stuff with the Justice League. I've liked the Justice League animated cartoons, shows, and all that. And the DC had a really, really good, strong stretch of animated movies too, from like 2010 to 2018. That was all in continuity with one another, and they do team up movies, and then they would do single ones for Batman and the Bat Family, which I think all work really well. And I like when Batman's on his own or with the Bat Family. I would say that I just, as opposed to the Chris Nolan versions, I would like to see him less grounded, still in his own, but less grounded. Give him more of the fantastical kind of world of Batman. Some of those rogues, your Clayfaces, your Mr. Freezes, Bane as a proper Bane, not, the Tom Hardy version. So I do like him on his own more than I need him in stories with team ups. But I would like to see a little bit more of the fantastic enter his movies than we saw, at least in the last version. And so far, what we've seen with Robert Pattinson's version as well, it looks very grounded again. They haven't used a character who has superpowers. It's been obviously the Riddler. If you saw the deleted scene, there's a little bit of Joker. We've seen Penguin, Falcone. Like, it's all been very grounded again. And I just want to see that element of, super added to it.
You said Bat Family.
Bat Family.
You have to see the Lego movie. You have to. That is a thing in the Lego. Yeah, you have to see Lego Batman. Please watch Lego.
But there you go. There's a little snippet of how excited.
Yeah, that'll be some of the conversation we talk about.
There we go. So you just got a little teaser of how that conversation might go, and of course, I will throw out some other aspects of it as well. And I think it's going to be a little bit of fun. Sorry, Sandy, you can't be there.
It's okay. I will be listening, and hopefully I'll be in a place where I can, I can participate via chat. So I'm all good.
And
By the way, Jay, you're a moderator on my channel. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh, nice.
The other day, but I made you a
Awesome.
mod after you jumped into my live stream. I had a few crazies come in. I had some crazy, so I had to make Highlander a mod. So my very first Highlander was my first. You were my second.
Can't make Highlander a mod.
Perfect.
He likes Braveheart and Patriot.
I know, but I had to. I was by myself, and I had crazy people in the chat.
Next time, I'll be sure I am on guard for the crazy.
But yeah, I really hope everybody's enjoyed this. It's been cold both here, everyone. Cold. We went to North Africa, Casablanca, where it's warm. I really wish I was there. I need a holiday to a warm place. That's all I have to say. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed Casablanca. So now we have a random Batman, Critters, The Matrix, The Will, and my my instigation of Batman. We love the film. We love The Will. I love this the Saturday nights at the moment. Sometimes Sundays, of course, but yeah, it's been always a little bit of fun, and we get to I'm gonna say I get to rewatch because I think there was only one thing I hadn't seen it. It was Sandy Short, but it's good for again to find movies that you might not have watched for a while. Jay, of course, you've seen not so many black and white movies that are on the wheel, but yeah, it's a. Oh, I look forward to this, and this was a rush for me today because I went to see the football, run in, kind of get it all sorted out, but did it in time. That's what I think because the film club is the film club, and always talk about film club, so that's always good. But apart from that, for me, going forward, I've done some random kind of gaming streams lately. Kind of enjoyed myself. I did a beat.
Got a lot of attention on some of your streams too. You had a
Well,
lot
that's because my NHL game we beat Boston.
Huh?
It was there was some shenanigans going on. I think he was cheating. I watched the whole thing. It didn't make sense. These goals were just going right in. Boston had a terrible offensive plan. They're just dumping, chasing. Something was going on there.
That
I
was
need to see a
pixely
rematch.
goodness, though.
Hey,
It was honestly really cool to see that game. I kind of always forget how good the retro
really
games
good.
are.
Oh my god, that was so. That is probably one of the most fun times I've had gaming because it just brought me back, and it was so annoying and great to play at the same time. But yeah, but I beat Boston, so that's it, and so that was it. But what we got tonight, another rivalry in real life, Montreal versus the Capitals. I think tonight. So should I stay up? Like
I think you should.
That's it. So is he back?
I don't know. I was just looking up Ovechkin because it's really hard. I obviously love my Capitals, but also, I mean, Wayne Gretzky is Wayne Gretzky. I mean, you just you don't want. There's some records you don't ever want to fall. Like my Cal Ripken's, game streak is never going to fall.
Is it games? Like how many
more
games is there? But that's the same.
Oh,
like
how many more games in the schedule?
Because you think how many more games in the schedule because more a franchise has been introduced since Gretzky's time. Gotta be
that.
Yeah, because you think the divisions are now gone to what 8 teams, haven't they? Each one. So yeah, but that's tonight. So we were gonna have a little bit of fun. But yeah, I actually like that last game. Did anybody see that? Like the Indigo Park?
No.
Oh my god, what a great game! Independent guy, one guy, and I can't remember his Mason Myers. Like, shout out to the guy. Literally did it on his own. It's the first chapter of when he's trying to get funded to do things. It's like this fun, scary, going into like he's ripped off kind of Disneyland. I give him that, but he's not done it in a way that you could even tell. It's literally funny horror. And it was absolutely spot on, brilliant, and I can't beat that. I love playing it.
Park?
Indigo Park, yeah. Go and check on my channel. It's the last one I played. Oh bloody hell, that was good. That was a lot of fun.
Oh,
I mean, it was an hour of play because it was like introducing of like him trying to get funding for the whole thing. Bloody hell, it was brilliant. I love playing it, and it was that's what you want from a game. If you go in there, you like I was like just intrigued. I was like, this looks good. What is this about? Played it, flipping heck. I was like, this is great. It was simple to play. It was very intriguing. It made me laugh, made me a little bit scared, a little bit jumped myself in a very funny way. I love that. I love that game. So yeah, if anybody finds it, I couldn't find the link to his GoFundMe thing for his next project or Kickstarter or wherever, but I will dig it out. But bloody hell, that it was a fun stream again like that. So yeah, I'm gonna do some more like that. I found some other random I found a Second World War game, like a prologue thing, and I was like, this looks good. So I might do some random ones coming out, like some more gaming. I'm trying to do at least an hour lunchtime if I can do that. I was going to do on Friday. Time got away from me. I need to do my sci-fi recommendations. I've got it down to 15 at the moment, so I think that's quite good. I might try and reduce it, but yeah, there's a lot of things of it. I need
good. We look forward to those.
a couple of hours out. So, but I'm guessing that discussion is going to be good because there's going to be ones that I've missed out, and I don't want to miss out. Otherwise, that would be like a 5-hour stream, because I think most of us are sci-fi movie geeks at heart as well, if that's TV and things like that. And talking about sci-fi, has Jay started any Star Trek yet?
I haven't yet. No. I
We
need to
told you
actually look.
TNG, right? We said start with the next.
Yeah.
We said
I
start with the
think
next
so.
generation.
I'm
Okay.
trying to think what streaming is that all on Paramount right now? I would imagine,
Yes.
right? They must have it all.
They
in there,
own
right?
it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have to
Do it.
do a little free trial of that and see how it goes. See how many I can.
I
get
think
through
they're on
first.
other. I think they're on other services, but I think you can definitely get them all. In the UK, you can get other
I
services.
think I have a Hulu subscription too. I want to see if it's on there. I've
Mm.
got a few. I'm losing track. I got to do one of those things that like tells you all the streaming
Oh my
services you
God.
have, because I'm sure there's some
Yes.
I'm
Dude.
paying to that I have not used in God knows how long. So I need
That's what I'm
to
trying
cancel a few and re allocate that for those funds to
Yeah.
one that I can actually use.
That's what I say. Like my missus, like Netflix. She has Netflix. I'm like, I don't watch Netflix, and I was like, hate to say it, if you want to watch something on Netflix, we can go on the, on that the sales, because I'm like, it's just crap. It's just crap on there.
There's so for
Absolutely crap.
every one good Netflix property or program, whether it's a show or a movie, there's like 10 to 15 just crap.
Oh,
It
it's just
is.
every time I'm going, oh, maybe they have a new movie, an old movie. I'm like, nothing. Absolutely shockingly bad. That
When I got rid of
whole service.
everything, I saved
Mhm.
like $200 a month.
Yeah.
When I got rid of everything, and then we definitely got rid of Disney. Amazon Prime. I'm surprised how much I can find on Prime Video, and then Max, and then Netflix, because the kids have Netflix. That's all. That's all we have. But I can usually find just about everything there.
That's pretty much the main three that I use. In Netflix, we don't even use it. We just got it like lumped in with our cable service, so we have it. Unless there's something out like Squid Game or something specific, I don't really use much Netflix. I found Max to be my go-to because it's got such a great back catalog of just older movies from WB properties. And then Amazon's been great for a lot of these films where I've had to, check to see if they have it. And I have an Amazon Prime account anyway, so that one just kind of comes with it. Outside of that, I have Hulu, which very randomly used. Should probably just get rid of it. And then no Disney, no Paramount, no Peacock, none of those ones.
Plus, I feel like everything else that you've got, like they just do so like once every 6 months. Oh, then
Nickel and dime, yeah.
Apple TV. That's another example of one that like every so often there's a good thing on it, but in between it, like I just checked it the other day to see. I'm like, I can't remember the last thing I watched on it that I liked. I remember liking it, whatever it was.
I think the only thing I've liked on Apple like lately is that Silo.
I've been meaning to watch that one. A lot of my buddies in real life have liked it.
It's okay, but it's watchable. It's interesting. I don't know where it's going to take. It could be one of these ones that you get really annoyed when it comes to the end. But I'm not paying for that service. Let's just say that.
When I first got it, it was to watch the Tetris movie, which I did like. Taron Egerton was the star of that one. It was good. I actually really liked that one. I liked that. He had another movie on there called Blackbird, which was a pretty good movie as well. I'm trying to think of series I've watched. I don't know that I've done many of their series. There was one that my wife and I started watching called Shrinking. It stars Jason Segel, and actually Harrison Ford's in it as well. It's not bad. It's a nice, lighthearted. It's a little bit emotional. It's the guy who did, I think it was Bill Lawrence is the guy who created it. I could be wrong.
Is that a series?
He did Scrubs. Yep, it's a series.
Yeah.
He did Scrubs in that old show Cougar Town. And I'm a huge fan of Scrubs. I think Scrubs is a great show that's super underrated. A lot of people think it's just a comedy show, but it's actually a lot deeper than that. And this movie this new show that he has, Shrinking, kind of has that same similar vibe where it's comedy in nature, but there's a lot of emotion and heart to it that it hasn't been bad. It's not, knock your socks off great, but it's not a bad little show. My wife's enjoyed it. So we've watched, I think it's on season 2 now. We've watched a bit of that, but yeah, it tends to be very like, decent thing on Apple Plus, whatever they even call it, Apple TV. I don't even know what they call it. But a decent thing here or there, or a good thing here or there, and then it's just like nothing. I remember checking it the other day to see what was new, and outside of the second season of that show, Shrinking, it was like, I feel like I haven't looked at this in 8 months, and it's the same stuff I saw 8 months ago. I did just get a notification that that show Severance, as we were sitting here talking. I don't know if the phone was listening to me or not, but that show Severance comes back for a season 2,
Probably
which
was
I've
listening
heard
to you.
people like, but I never watched Severance season 1, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, so there's that.
Sorry, outing me, Abe, outing me. That didn't happen. It was all your fault. Also, David Verse. I like Ghost of Mars. I do like Ghost of Mars. It's a very Have you two seen Ghost of Mars?
No.
No.
Oh my god, go!
Ghost of Mars.
Just go watch it. Ghost of Mars is a very poorly made sci-fi movie, and it should be better than it is, but it's very addictive to watch. And I don't know why I like it. Every time I'm like, it's awful, but I like it, and I don't know why. I just don't know why I like it, and I like it. And it's one of those ones when you know when you're like, oh, there's nothing else to watch. Oh, there's no I need to watch something, and then I'm drawn to that. Don't know why. If I see it, I will watch it. It's a very, very bizarre one, but it's not in my top. It's not in my list. It's just one to go. If you haven't got if you want to watch something and you go, oh, that is actually quite good. That's it. But on that, anyway, Sandy,
I've written it down.
There you go.
Put it on that long list of things I never seem to have time to watch. And
so
Jay, I still
Sandy-
have to.
Oh, sorry, go on, Karen.
I was gonna say, Jay, I still have to watch Secret Level. I haven't watched it yet, but
Oh
I
my God,
really,
no,
Oh yeah,
I
it's a
haven't
good
yet.
one.
My
It's
list,
want
the
to
good thing
watch.
about Secret Level is that they're all short episodes. They range from anywhere from like 8 minutes to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think maybe one of them was like a 20-minute episode, maybe 2 of them. So nice, short, easy watch. And it's an anthology series, so you can watch them kind of pick and choose in
Out of
terms
order.
right,
Yeah.
out of any order, pick and choose whether it's games games you don't know, that type of thing. So it's an easy one to
that's
kind of
on
pick
my
up
list
and put
as well,
down.
yeah.
You have to do that.
But Sandy, you're addicted to live streams. So what you got coming on?
I'm gonna live stream tomorrow morning, probably from the Jefferson Memorial in downtown DC. It's really interesting all around right now because of the preparation for the inauguration, and they put up all these barriers for a great
What's
big
that? 10
huge.
days? Is it 10 days?
Yeah,
10 days?
9
Yeah.
days. They
9
put up
days.
all
Isn't
kinds
it?
of barriers for the big parade and grandstands, for seating, it's a whole, it's definitely an event. Politics aside, it's an amazing event to be at. I definitely won't be there because I'll still be in Florida, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll be live streaming from somewhere around Washington, D.C. tomorrow morning. I don't know what made me do it the day I did it. I can't even remember what I was doing. Oh, it was because I hit my last embassy. And within a minute, I had people from all over the world just saying hi. And I thought, well, this is kind of cool. And then I did a few more. And then when I was in Nashville last week, I did one early in the morning in the bitter, bitter cold and had like 890 people on it. And I had to cut the stream because I had to get to work. And I could have kept going, but just lots of fun. But yeah, then I had some wackos in the chat and had to make I didn't even know I could make mods. I thought you had to be a real channel in order to do that. So yeah, I'll be live streaming from somewhere tomorrow. Should be fun.
There you go. It's roughly what time? Your time?
So it'll probably be 8:30 to 9 o'clock in the morning my time on the East Coast. So no one on the West Coast will be up. So that'll be 2 p.m. your time.
Yeah.
Ish.
That's it. I will look out because I've not
I don't
joined in.
know how
I'm
to
sorry.
put the
Oh my
scheduling in.
God.
I don't know how to do the.
Oh, I
when
don't
I
know
hit
how to do it because when you do it, because you do the long form, like
I
portrait.
do.
I don't
When
know
you try to
how
schedule
you
it,
do. I'm not too sure.
if you go off the page, like if you schedule it from an hour, but then you go off the page, it cancels you. So you have to keep the page open. I'm not going to keep the page open for an hour. So anyway, we'll figure. I'm learning.
Yeah,
But
learning.
it's all
Gonna
about
have a
having
real YouTube star soon, people. Real YouTube star.
not
Yeah,
just
wait
doing
for it.
for
Wait for
fun.
it. There's it. And Jay, yourself, what you got coming up?
So for me, as always, the first thing is eating something because once again, my stomach is growling on stream. I don't know why I starve myself before every film club, but I seem to do it every week. So
Just
hopefully you guys
popcorn.
can hear the stomach
Popcorn.
growling. But in terms of channel, first things first, new logo means I have to update all my stream graphics and video graphics. So that's going to be what I spend the rest of tonight doing, is eating something and fixing up all my graphics to match the new logo. After that, more videos and streams. I wasn't able to stream too much this week. It's a little bit of a busy one. And really, I didn't work on a video either because of the same reasoning. So this upcoming week, hopefully a lot more. I've got quite a few ideas buzzing around my head that I got to kind of get from brain to screen. One of which is doing some recommendation videos as well, of just some good movies. This upcoming year of movies looks a little rough. So between some of these releases and reviews for the new stuff, I want to do a bit of just putting old movies on people's radars. Basically what we do here with Film Club. And some of the movies will actually be ones that came from Film Club, from recent watches and all that. So
Awesome.
that's something I want to do and something I have coming up soon. And then outside of that, more videos, reviews, streams, the whole deal as soon as I just get a little bit more time.
Excellent. Now, one thing I forgot, I've been doing some writing because I got bored of the novel.
Yeah.
I'm not bored of the novel. I got frustrated with the novel I'm doing. Abe knows what it is because Abe's helped me a little bit write. I really want to rewrite the first part of the chapter, and then I got sidetracked. I got sidetracked quite a lot. So anybody who plays Conan and anybody who's associated with Mr. Porkchop, I've started going a bit weird, and I mean a bit weird as I've started. I just went into full
weird.
Right, I know. I went to full. If you're part of that server, I may have written something about you, and in a funny, nice. Sandy, I would say it's light-hearted. It's funny, but light-hearted.
It's my characteristic self. It's my organizational skills exploited for your laughter. Yes.
There we go. And also, Abe, I've written another chapter about you. like he did one. He was like, "What the effing hell is this?" So like that. So I'm on now. I think when I said to you guys, I was on chapter 12. I'm now on to 15. So this has got a bit. This has got a bit out of like, and the thing is, because I know I kind of worked out what the ending is already. I know where I want to get to. I'm just filling in until that funny bit, and I mean really funny. So like that. So I will publish it. I'm gonna have to get it on there. So
the best part is the AI voice. The AI voice that you chose is hilarious. I mean, is hilarious just in itself. It's very like reading directions. It's very matter of fact, and it's funny.
Yeah, so that will be coming out. So if you are part of that Conan server, Mr. Porkchop server, there will be something published very, very soon. And I do apologize, and I do like it because the two people in it who's not read it is my hero. The hero of the story is Greg, just out there, and Dan has not read it yet.
The villain of the story.
No, he's not. Well, there's the thing because Mr. Porkchop's the villain, but Dan is the goat. That's all I have to say. Yeah. That's how I've got there. Mm-hmm. So the names are different, but the plagiarism on it is funny. We're gonna go there. So if that's what I sometimes I just type away and I just go, oh, I got anybody who's ever tried to write or whatever like that, when you're in the flow, I can't get out of the flow. Mm-hmm. That's just say that I just keep on going. And it's not, but it annoyed me because I was doing one thing. I got frustrated about that. And then I just started typing about that whole thing. And I was like, let's just make it a little bit funny in the style of Douglas Adams. And then I just kind of found it funny in myself. And then I started laughing to myself and then writing more and more and more. And then I realized, oh my God, if I introduce this new character, that person, and then it just kind of took its own film because everybody in that game has their own style and traits. You keep on doing the same things, it's really easy to kind of go into it. So it is funny because who does the tidying, Sandy?
I do, and I do it well. Gosh darn it!
And nobody will beat me. But that's going to come out soon. So wait for that. It's highly amusing. So that's a bit of fun. But otherwise from that, guys, I really hope you've had a bit of fun with Film Club. Again, we'll be back, just me and Jay next time for Batman. Then the Critters, all three of us, great movie. But I hope you keep warm, because I'm guessing most of us in a cold place. And if you're in California, I hope you keep safe if you're in the areas that are being affected at the moment. But apart from that, have a great one, guys. I will see you next time. Bye from now. Have a good one. Keep warm.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.